Your morning just got more interesting. Distilled and barrel-picked for your listening pleasure. Bo Bishop, a local sports media legend. What William T. Sherman was to the Union Army, he is to Northern College football. A husband, a father, and middling youth sports coach. He's friends with Central Ohio sporting royalty.
Talking to Ohio State Athletic Director Ross Bjorken. Coach Day walking on with us right now. Good to see you, buddy. Good buddy, Austin Ward. My good buddy, Tim May, the Tim May Show. The great Doug Lavery's joining us.
Hi, everybody. Dom Tiberi here.
Oh, Reese came in and he handed me papers.
Yeah.
And then he said, "You see that button? That's the only button you need to worry about. Don't touch. There's 8,000 buttons in front of me." Oh, I didn't know what he was talking about.
The one that says on.
We blew the budget on this imaging, and only two guys answered our ad on Craigslist. Ryan Baker and Eric Reeser. Act accordingly. You're now listening to Bishop and Friends.
Bishop and Friends is sponsored by Diamond Seller, your true jeweler for over 75 years.
All right, let's do it live on a Monday edition of the program. Bo and the boys with you for the next three, and coming out of that Sunday, jacked up. And spring's here, kids. It's here. We're good. You're in the clear. Winter's over. Daylight savings time. All of it. It's all wins. Loaded up for you. 9:30, Mike DeCourcy going to join us. 10:30, Austin Ward. Take a week from today, we'll be starting spring football. Some of the questions that will need to be answered over the course of that month for Ryan Day. His new coordinators, you'll hear from both of them coming up at the 10 o'clock hour as well. NFL free agency is here. Not officially. This is that ridiculous time where they have tampering that's legal. So that's where they're at right now, but you're going to see a lot of business done, including the big Myles Garrett deal, which happened over the weekend. Josh Allen got paid over the weekend. How does all of that affect potentially down in Cincinnati with Jamar Chase, as they are trying to make a lot of things happen down there as well? So we'll get into all of that over the course of the next three. I want to start with a little history lesson. I was, I got to be honest with you, I was always of the belief that daylight savings time was something that happened. The two factors that to me led to, in my mind's eye, that led to, and it's kind of like a game of telephone, that if you get told something enough, it kind of changes by the time it gets around to you. And there are some morsels of fact amidst a bunch of nonsense. And that's kind of what my perception of daylight savings time is. I thought that Benjamin Franklin invented it, and I thought it was done for farmers. That's what I thought.
Same.
Right? I mean, that was my... Now, and I grew up in that world, in a rural world.
A meat farmer.
And you would have said, well, you know, that seems to check out. I don't know if there wasn't Wikipedia in those days or if nobody bothered to teach us it. I have no idea. But one of the things that the Benjamin Franklin part of it goes all the way back to he wrote actually pulling this up right here. He wrote a proverb called "Early to bed, early to rise makes a man healthy, wealthy, and wise." So he did write that in a parish journal in the late 1770s, 1784. And so I think the idea being that he gets that's how he gets some credit for it, because of the more amount of sun in the day. But he has actually nothing to do with daylight savings time. In fact, if you were to tell me that daylight savings time in the United States did not start until 1918, and we were not the first country to do it, not by a damn stretch. Several in Europe had done it. Canada had done it. We were not the first on it at all. It also doesn't help farmers at all. In fact, a common myth in the United States is that daylight savings time was first implemented for the benefit of farmers. In reality, farmers have been one of the strongest lobbying groups against daylight savings time since it was first implemented. The factors that influence farming schedules, such as morning dew and dairy cattle's readiness to be milked, are ultimately dictated by the sun, so the clock change introduces unnecessary challenges. In 1918, the Standard Time Act goes in. That's a little over 100 years ago, a wartime measure for 7 months during World War I in the interest of adding more daylight hours to conserve energy. So it was about money. Most things are. Year-round daylight savings time, or wartime, was implemented again during World War II. After the war, local jurisdictions were free to choose if they wanted to observe it or not. Uniform Time Act standardized daylight savings time in 1966. So it wasn't until 66 that it became what it is. Permanent daylight saving time was enacted for the winter of 1974. So they've done that before, but there were complaints of children going to school in the dark, which you've always heard that too, and working people commuting and starting their workday in pitch darkness during the winter, and it was repealed a year later. I'm going to tell you something. As a father of three boys, this seems absurd to me that we do this. that twice a year we change it by an hour. Now, I prefer what I'm going to now refer to as it was originally intended. I'm going to call this wartime. I like wartime. You give me the more sun at night, this is what I want. I don't know if people realize that this is not the standard. This is the adjustment. I always, so when people say I want daylight savings time year round, you actually want the wartime, which is what this is. That's what was originally supposed to be, is that you would want more daytime going in there. So I prefer it this way. My kids are a mess, absolute mess. Like getting them up this morning in the pitch dark, absolutely brutal. Trying to convince them to go to bed last night in what was an hour earlier, pure brutal. It's really hard when they're little. As they're getting older, it's not quite as bad. But to me, pick one. And I feel the idea that we jockey back and forth seems nonsensical to me. Absolutely nuts. So just pick one. I prefer this. Where are you guys? You like this one or the other?
This one.
I've never understood why people get so fired up about this. And, Bo, I don't have kids to deal with, obviously.
Well, there you go.
But I just don't understand. And maybe it's because my schedule is always so crazy and wild that it doesn't matter. I'm just getting sleep wherever I can, whenever. But I can't believe it. It seems like the more we go on, the more people complain about it. And I just don't get it.
You don't think it's nuts that we change the clock twice a year? Like just the process of that. I mean, we're like twice a year we're going to do this.
It's never been anything that's bothered me. I guess it's just always been normal, so I don't know.
You're an old warhorse,
and listen, the phones and the cable box switch all our clocks for us now, so
that's
we don't
true.
even. I mean, heck, my oven finally is back on the right time. So
that is one of those things that now all the devices are connected to Wi-Fi. They just automatically update. So fewer and fewer times do we find ourselves going, oh, I forgot to set the clock on the thing, because now you don't need to on any of your things. And it also feels like we have this conversation every damn year.
Yeah.
And I still every year look to somebody and say, what's this about again?
Now you know.
I'm going to forget it by next year.
I want to give you the why. I want you to take your notes out and remember the why. We're in this more. We're in wartime more than we're in standard. It's 8 months of this. We don't go back until November 2nd. It's from now until November 2nd. Is there
time to make sure we never go back?
Well, I don't know. Elon was tweeting that out last week. Rubio tried doing it a couple years ago. Remember that? But then that didn't get anywhere. But, I mean, Musk can now get stuff done. I mean, it feels like he's running things, or, him and Trump are running things. So, and he put it out there on his platform, like, which do you prefer? I feel like if you get a majority on that it's going to get switched permanently.
I guess the argument would be, what's the more efficient? Would it be having the, hour, losing an hour, or falling back or skipping forward? Because that's the argument, right? If it's more efficient, they'll do it.
It's just about, do you want more sun at night or do you want it morning? Do you want it to be bright in the morning sooner? That's it. Where do you want your sun? And that's all it, because it's just a mindset. That's all it is. And
to answer your original question, Bo, I would take this, right? You want you want it to be light later on. What is it, Arizona that has never adopted it? Isn't Arizona the one that has stayed strong, and they have not used ever the daylight savings time? Indiana used to, but they've since switched and they do it. Yeah. But I think Arizona never has.
I think Arizona is the one holdout. So for the next 8 months, Arizona will be on Pacific time, or what we will view as Pacific time. They just stay where they're at, but they'll be on what is West Coast time for the next month. So that's the spot you're in right now. Yeah. But anyway, what a weekend. I mean, when you have, just an incredible sun. You guys had mud rain. The mud rain get you guys on Monday night?
Yeah, like a dust storm from Texas.
Rain.
You should have seen the line at the one car wash on Hilliard Rome yesterday. Yeah. It was literally, so the car wash is next to the Chick-fil-A. The line was through the car wash, around the Chick-fil-A, out onto the road where you turn to get to both of them, and literally stopping up Hilliard Road.
It's the same thing on 5th Avenue. There's that Moo Express car wash. Yeah. If the line's to the sidewalk, there's always 5 or 6 cars on a day that people want to do their car washing that start blocking up the actual street.
Well, you get anxious too anyway, so whether you have mud rain or not, your car's been in salt and slush and grapple and all this nonsense for all these months. And so now all of a sudden sun's out, guns out. We got a great week ahead of us weather-wise, and so everyone's fired up to get everything all slicked up. So all of those things kind of collude to get to the point where there's a little bit of a rush on them. But yeah, I feel like when I made the statement, winter is over, it's done, boys. We're in the clear.
Yeah, I'm still.
Knock on all you want. It's going to be fine. It's going to be fine. It's all here.
I guarantee.
I love it.
I guarantee you now that you said that, when Scotty, Biddle, and I go to the Reds game on April 2nd, there will be snow.
You may get a flurry.
Oh, that's the grapple game for sure.
You may get a flurry for that. Yeah. The flagship of the Reds now here. By the way.
Boy.
So that'll be exciting. Very, very good. Love me some National League Baseball. Listen, we have seen what we saw Saturday in Bloomington so many times over the last few years. It's just kind of become who they are. And who they are is a hell of a challenge. And it's one of the things that when you think about Jake Diebler's job, what he's done this year, his job for this offseason, his job for this week, it is complicated. We will get into it all coming up next. Mike DeCourcy coming up at 9:30 for the bubble talk, or the bubble in or bubble out, what is needed this week. Also, he's been around the sport forever. I'm going to ask him, what should you be expecting out of your Buckeye men's basketball team? Because this has become the norm now, that this is kind of what it is. We'll get to all of that up next. We're off and running on a Monday. Bishop and Friends right here on The Fan.
All the 10 TV people come over to our side of the building to take a deuce. That should tell you something about how we operate. The Fan.
For a limited time at Verizon, you can get our best price ever for a single line. Just $45 per month when you bring your phone, which is less than you spend on Too Tired to Cook takeout every week. Get one line on unlimited welcome for $45 per month with autopay plus taxes and fees. Visit your local Columbus Verizon store by April 2nd to save. $20 monthly promo credits applied over 36 months with a new line on unlimited welcome. In times of congestion, unlimited 5G and 4G LTE may be temporarily slower than other traffic. Domestic data roaming at 2G speeds. Additional terms apply.
That's are us. When dreams sunk in, that's are us.
Right now, get $1,500 off a shower or tub replacement, or $3,000 off a full bathroom remodel, plus low to no monthly payments. Call 380-225-BATH to schedule your free estimate, or go to bathsareus.com. 380-225-BATH.
That's are us. When dreams sunk in, that's are us.
Basketball from noon to midnight. Scotty Vegas here, and we're throwing a Vegas-style basketball party at Hollywood Casino at the ESPN Bet Sportsbook. I even went out to Vegas to scout out how to throw this party. Tough assignment. The Fan is doing 24 hours of watch parties. The opening weekend of the tournament, there'll be custom T-shirts, Pop-A-Shot, horse games. Oh, and don't miss a game with a 50-foot video wall. Reserve your spot at HollywoodColumbus.com. Must be 21 or older to enter. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
When you're on the go, every minute of the day counts. Meijer Home Delivery and Pickup helps you make the most of every second. Get all your weekly shopping online, quickly and easily, from wherever you are, whenever you want. Then have your Meijer order delivered to your home, or swing by and pick it up when you're out and about. Whatever works best for your schedule. The good life is in reach with Meijer Home Delivery and Pickup.
It's been a great run. Care Heating and Cooling has achieved goals I could only imagine 30 years ago. But now it's time for the next generation to take over. This is Mike Weens, now the retired founder of Care Heating and Cooling with my sons, Dennis and Ryan.
Dad, I remember you saying that a family business should reflect family values, that a customer deserves to be treated with kindness and compassion.
And those values will never change. The reputation you built for being fair and honest is our greatest asset.
In fact, in 2024, Care was awarded a BBB Torch Award for ethics and named the Lennox Partner of the Year.
You don't earn those awards by leaving cat toys behind. It's an honor to continue serving Central Ohio as a locally owned, family-run business.
So, whether you need a tune-up, repair, or just honest advice, Care is here for you.
Call Care Heating and Cooling at 1-800-COOLING or schedule an appointment online at careheatingandcooling.com. When you need a company you can trust.
I hope you're ready for all the Jackets talk you can handle. Join us Wednesday night at 7 for the Inside Edge.
Sponsored by Visit Central Florida. Discover the real Florida magic at visitcentralflorida.com.
The Fan.
Hello, it's John Kozik, founder and president of TurboTrack Realty, and I buy real estate as is, fast for cash. Do you want to sell your property, however, you need a little help getting through the process? Let's say you have years of belongings in the home. It needs a lot of updating, you're overwhelmed, you might not be big on technology, and you may need help finding a place to go. I will help you. Maybe you've gone through a divorce or a bad breakup or a relative moved out. It's been hard, and you just want to take what you want and leave the rest behind. I will help you. Retiring and want to sell your commercial properties or land. I will help you. Sellers, whether you're selling as is or selling for top dollar, you're no longer alone. Visit us today at TurboTrackRealty.com or call me now for an all-cash offer and, more importantly, the help you need at 614-470-2000, 614-470-2000.
Fan weather.
From the Logan AC and Heat Services Weather Center.
Talk about a beauty of a day today. Sunshine, high temperatures in the mid-60s. And then heading into tomorrow, it gets even warmer. We're looking at a mostly sunny sky with a high of 70. Wednesday, it'll be a little bit cooler with a high of 65. I'm meteorologist Dylan Robichaud with your 10 TV weather impact forecast on 97.1 The Fan.
An ex-jock and a very puffy, smooth-faced man. These are the first voices you should hear. Morning Juice. Your wake-up service.
Weekday mornings from 6 to 9.
The Fan. Find us on YouTube. Search WBNS Radio and you can see what Bo looks like. But only if you subscribe. This is Bishop and Friends.
So it's been 12 years since an Ohio State men's basketball team has gone past the second weekend of the NCAA tournament, 2012-2013. Deshaun Thomas was a junior on that team, so was Aaron Kraft. They went all the way to the Elite Eight that year. It's been that long. This has kind of been what this program has been trending towards for a while now. And they've been perpetually on the bubble for most of the last half decade or so. The end of Thad's tenure here, the last few seasons after that Elite Eight run in 12-13, you're 25-10, 24-11, 21-14. Missed the tournament his last 2 years, 21-14, and then 17-15 in his final season. Then Holtman comes in. Year one is pretty good. That's Caleb Wesson and those guys. They're 25-9. Keita Bates-Diop, 25-9, 15-3 in the league, tied for second in the league. They didn't get higher than tied for fourth in the league the rest of the way. Missed the NCAA tournament his second to last year, his first losing record here, 16-19, and then was fired in the middle of the following season. That was after that Indiana, just an incredible collapse when they lost at home to Indiana. The game that we saw on Sunday was reminiscent of so many games we've seen from this program over the last couple of years, in that you have enough to, they led almost the whole game. But as has been the case for much of the last half decade, when you got to go get a bucket, there just isn't anybody who can go get a bucket. And they just haven't had pros. Just haven't. They haven't had pros. So if you don't have pros, then you have to run a system that gets you good shots. You have to run a system that gets you good looks. You've got to be difficult to play against. One thing about Jake last year as the interim is he was push tempo. Well, they can't push tempo this year because they don't have the depth. They don't have the depth. They don't have Michi Johnson. He was going to be part of it. Think about that in terms of how this roster was built, the amount of monetary compensation that was aligned for Aaron Bradshaw and Michi Johnson. And Bradshaw has been a disappointment, I think we could all say. He's been in and out of the lineup. And Michi's been gone since December. No idea where he's been forever. Obviously, he's not coming back. But they gave resources significant to those players, thinking they would be key parts of all of this. And you could have used Michi Johnson Saturday. You could have used him. You could have used another guard who could kind of get his own. And while maybe it didn't work all the time with Mobley and with Bruce, God, you would better off with him. Talent is better. And there's a ceiling on Michi's talent, but he can be a guy who can light it up and get hot, and he can be a very streaky shooter, and they just don't have that. It's all on Bruce. It's all on Mobley. They have to, and Devin Royal to a lesser extent, but those two guards both have to be approaching 20 every time out because they're getting nothing out of the bench. And so it's just a limited amount of points that can be scored. The ceiling is very, very low. And this was a brutal end to this game. It really was. And it was an emotional day in Bloomington. And it puts you just really smack dab on the bubble in, bubble out, who knows. But we've seen this game a lot over the last few years, fellas, a lot.
Yeah, the college basketball crown starts on March 31st in Las Vegas. I'm just trying to look forward to the future because that 7 minutes at the end of the game in Bloomington was just that you wanted, like, because of the job that we have, you had to pay attention. But because, like you said, we've seen this before, I wanted to take my eyes off of the screen so many times. I wanted to stick a pencil in my eyes so many times. I mean, the final 5 minutes, you had 4 points from Bruce Thornton, and those were from the charity stripe. Yeah. Like, it made no sense how up 10 you just wither and die like that. It's something, again, you had seen too many times from these teams over the past couple of seasons. Teams 124, 125, now team 126. And it sets up a Big Ten tournament matchup with Iowa on Wednesday that do you feel any bit confident about?
No.
Yep.
No.
Bo, when we watch the Bengals this past year and they lose that opener to the Patriots, you're like, oh, man, that's going to come back and bite them. Yeah. And I keep going back to the game against Pitt, the 3-game stretch in the Big Ten where you should have beat Oregon. You had Wisconsin on the ropes, and you had Indiana the first time on the ropes, and you lose those 3 games all in a row. And all of those games felt like, oh, man, this is going to hurt you in the end.
Yeah.
And it seems like that those games are. And, man, you were spot on with it's got to be Bruce and Mobley because we saw Parrish and Royal do it the other day, and they didn't win. It's got to be Bruce and Mobley, and when those two are off, this team has really no shot.
Yeah, they hit Devin Royal hit a 3 with, what is it? I think I'm just pulling it up right in my head. It feels like about 12 minutes remaining, something like that. Yeah. To make it 46-36. He hit a 3 at the 12-12 mark to make it 46-36. So you're up 10 on their court with 12 minutes to go. So you're up, I mean, the rest of the way, you scored 14, they scored 30. The rest of the way. 14-30. It's not going to get it done. And this is just a reality of where this program is. I don't think they're underachieving. I think this is about right for the roster. I don't think this is something where like Jake's not getting enough out of him. I don't think it's that at all. I think he's getting all out of what he's got. I think this is the juice and the squeeze. This is all that there is. I don't think there's more. I don't think you look at this roster and who's not playing up to their potential? I think they all are. I think they're all playing up to their potential. If threes don't fall, and they didn't on Saturday, 8 of 26, the backcourt went 4 of 15 from 3. I mean, 2 of 12 from 3 out of Mobley and Thornton. If those shots don't fall, they don't win. I don't think that there's stuff being left out on the floor, guys. I think this is it. I think this is who you are. You're a 500 team in the league. Now, will that be enough? I don't think it is yet. DeCourcy's going to join us in 6 minutes. We'll get his take on where they sit on the bubble. But they are the 10 seed. They are playing Wednesday night at 6:30. You can listen to it right here on The Fan against Iowa. One thing I know about Iowa is historically they'll find a way to score. So that'll be a hell of a challenge. But I don't think that this is some instance where they're not playing up to their talent. I think this is who they are. I think they're playing to the talent, in my view. I don't think this is underachieving. I think this is properly achieving.
Yeah, I think that's why this month is going to be so much more important, I think, for the makeup, because you've got to hit better on your roster construction. And that's going to include making proper selections out of the portal, because the resources, I would argue, were there, for this team. They were just allocated improperly. And it's easier
you
to
mean
do.
like the money, right?
I mean
like
the money
spent.
I mean the money spent.
I
and
agree
it's
with you.
obviously, Washington's having a similar conversation because if you look at the Big Ten men's tournament bracket, they are not involved.
No.
So
they spent $2.5 million or whatever it was on the kid.
One guy, one giant disappointment. And so I think especially this month, because that's where you're going to have some of those roster monetary allocation discussions, especially with that college basketball crown coming on the 31st. It's like I wonder to myself, especially after watching Saturday's debacle, well, who the hell's going to want to be part of that?
And in all fairness on that point, a lot of people wanted Michi Johnson, right? He just came off of a great run in the postseason for South Carolina last year. And Sean Stewart and Aaron Bradshaw were high recruits for Duke and Kentucky. I mean, those are guys with some pedigree. Unfortunately, it just hasn't worked out. We've seen some signs, I think, from Stewart down the stretch here, where maybe not with the scoring, but he's been better on the glass at least, which the Ohio State is getting killed in rebounding, especially offensive rebounding. Teams are having a field day with this Ohio State team, but we've seen signs from Stewart. We forget that Stewart and Bradshaw are still very young guys, and sometimes it takes bigs a little longer to develop.
Yeah, it does, but it's one of those things where you think about, to me now, they have got to win. Obviously, they got to win Wednesday. You have to. And you have to find a way probably to win 2 to feel good about it. So that would be Illinois on Friday.
Then you get Maryland.
Tall task at that standpoint. Let's hear from Jake in terms of the hope that's still there for the NCAA.
I understand it's really, really important, and we need to get a win on Wednesday. So our focus, though, is to live in the moment. There's a championship to be won in the Big Ten tournament. And, we want to go out there, use this time now between now and Wednesday to get ready to play our best basketball. And our best basketball is being really tough and connected. Thought we did that, playing with joy, thought we did that, but we just didn't quite trust each other offensively there in the second half like we've been doing so well. But I think that team that we just played deserves to be in the NCAA tournament. I think we deserve to be in the NCAA tournament. Our league deserves a lot of teams in the NCAA tournament. Strength of schedule needs to matter. And so, but we got to control what we can control and go get ready for Wednesday.
I think strength of schedule will matter. Most people have Ohio State currently bubble in, but right on it. I just think what happened is if you beat Indiana in Bloomington, then you feel decent about what's happening this week rather than attempting this week with a little bit of pressure behind it. So that's from our perspective. Mike DeCourcy has covered 1,000 of these. He's covered the NCAA tournament forever. We'll get his thoughts on where the Buckeyes are on the bubble and where this program is in general in 2 minutes. Bishop and Friends, right here on The Fan.
Texting enrolls you in a recurring automated marketing text messages. Consent not required to purchase. Message and data rates may apply.
The team's looking good this season. I think so. Man, I miss playing football. Being young with unlimited energy to burn. Ever since I turned 40, I just can't find that fire I used to have.
Think it could be lower testosterone?
What do you mean?
All guys lose their edge when they turn 40. The body has less testosterone. That's why I take Nugenix Total T.
I've heard about Nugenix. That really works?
Since I started taking Nugenix, I'm lifting like when we played for Coach Carter. I feel more energized at work. It's even spiced up things between me and the missus.
Are they still giving out complimentary bottles for people to try?
Yep, send a text. It's that easy.
Text KING to 42424 right now for your complimentary bottle of Nugenix Total T. It's the #1 selling testosterone boosting brand at GNC and Walmart. Do it now and they'll also send you a bottle of Nugenix Thermo X, their newest, most powerful fat burner ever, absolutely free. Text KING to 42424. That's KING to 42424.
These statements have not been evaluated by the FDA. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.
Breaking news. It's never ordinary at Bet365. 21 plus only. Must be physically located in Ohio. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. T&Cs apply.
Ready to hit the road in a new car? With Pathways, enjoy up to 90 days with no payments and low auto loan rates. Learn more at pathwayscu.com. Pathways Financial Credit Union, your true financial partner. Federally insured by NCUA.
Bobby Carpenter here for Germain Toyota. Swing by Germain Toyota and ask for Marcello and discover unbeatable deals and a wide selection of new and certified pre-owned Toyota vehicles. Visit them at germaintoyota.net. Germain Toyota on the corner of I-70 and Bryce Road.
Bishop and Friends is sponsored by Diamond Seller, your true jeweler for over 75 years. The Fan, Ohio sports destination.
What's up?
What's up, man? What's up with you?
Sponsored by High Bank Distillery, home of the best blended whiskey in America. Grab a bottle or dine in at their 3 restaurant locations, Grandview, Gahanna, and now in Westerville. Drink local. Drink High Bank.
All right, here's what's up on a Monday edition of the program. It is championship week. It is one of my favorite weeks of the year. It begins the March through March, which is as fun as it gets. And Mike DeCourcy's been to a lot of these. He joins us on the Bryan Heating and Cooling Systems fan guest hotline. Mike, thank you so much for taking the time. What number tournament will this be for you, my friend?
Number tournament? I know I'd have to do some calculation, but I know this will be the 35th Final Four that I cover this season.
Bless. You've seen a lot of hoops, my friend.
I've seen a lot of hoops.
Let me ask you this. Ohio State has not been past the second round of the NCAA tournament. We'll get into where this team is in a second, but just from your historical perspective, they haven't been to the second round of the NCAA tournament since 2013. It's been a dozen years. What do you think this fan base ought to expect out of its basketball program?
Well, I think that what was possible changed a lot around that time when Thad Matta sort of became less well over the course of a few years. I think he's doing much better now, but for a period of time, it affected his ability to operate, to function, and that certainly impacted Ohio State. I think that what Ohio State can be is what any team at the Big Ten SEC level can be. And more so than some of the teams in the leagues, but maybe you look at the amount of resources that those programs have, and so they are limited only by their own ambition and execution. What's most important to us? And when I say ambition, I mean there's clear that there's ambition in Ohio State's athletic department. It's just a question of priorities. What's the most important? What are the most important things to you? We know what the most important thing is, and that's that's logical and rational and good business and everything. But what are the other priorities? And then how do you execute on those priorities? And I think that's the question that every program that is at that level, at the Ohio State football dominance level, that's what they have to ask relative to their other priorities and how do they execute on those.
Mike, in this era where we are with NIL, and because you think to yourself, well, how do you build a program now? I mean, Jake's trying to build a program. He's got to dig it out of a hole here, and he's trying to build it.
Right.
And you see, like Mark Pope at Kentucky, and that's blue blood. I'm not comparing the two, but Mark Pope at Kentucky went heavy transfer portal to build that roster. At Rutgers, they went and spent big on 2 young kids, and they're in the same, and they're both great. They're both going to be first-round picks, but they're going to be in the play-in spot the same way the Buckeyes are on Wednesday. How would you build a program at a place like Ohio State right now? What would be the right mix of young guys and vets? How would you build it?
Well, I think that the building process is the challenge now, because are people willing to be patient with the build? Because you can do what Kentucky did. And look, Kentucky, that's not the long-term plan there. That was, we're losing everybody, including the coach. And everybody that he brought in is going to follow him, that stays in college basketball. And that's exactly what happened. Nearly every player that was on the Kentucky roster that remained in college basketball went with John Calipari to Arkansas. So they knew they were going to have no roster. So they could go ahead and really be poor this year, or they could do what they did, which was go out and get the absolute best transfers they could possibly get and make them relevant and show Kentucky fans what's possible in the future. But that's not what they're going to do every year.
Yeah.
It's going to gradually build. And so the problem, I think, is how patient can other fan bases be, because they aren't all Kentucky, and not everybody is like, every kid out there says, wait a second, that's the Lexington area code, and they're calling me.
Mm-hmm.
And so of course they picked it up. And that it's not like that if you're, let's say, at Oklahoma State. It's not going to work the same. So I look at the teams that have won championships the last few years. I mean, UConn, it was interesting to hear Rick Pitino say something similar to what sort of the first part of your supposition, which is he says, I don't want any more high school guys. And I'm like, well, yeah, but the guy right up the highway from you won the last two and built the program with high school players. And, yeah, he populated the roster in certain positions when he had a vacancy. Point guard in 2022-23 when he brought in Tristan Newton from East Carolina. Last year they needed a shooting guard. They needed a high-level shooting guard to fill out what was clearly a championship roster, and they went and got Cam Spencer from Rutgers, and they were able to win 2 in a row. That's how it's been done. Purdue played against UConn in the championship game last year. Almost everyone was a Purdue high school recruit except for Lance Jones, who did make the biggest shot of the year for them and got them into the Final Four against Tennessee. So I think you need to do a little bit of both. But if you're going to truly build a sustainable, lasting program, I think the way to go is to build it with a culture that can be enforced with high school players that are willing to commit to you and stick with you, and then you bring in players to complement that. But also, the other part of this that everybody forgets is how important it is to convince your players that they're in the right place.
Yeah.
First of all, by how you treat them, and second of all, how you compensate them.
Yeah, both of them. It's a tough needle to thread, no doubt about that. Mike DeCourcy, been around a long time, covered a lot of these NCAA tournaments and one of the best in the business on the Bryant Heating Cooling Systems fan guest hotline. Is this Buckeye team a tournament team in your view?
Yeah, it's closer than obviously you'd want it to be, but they have won the sorts of games that usually say they're a tournament team. And they haven't lost many of the games that you'd say, oh, there's no way that's a tournament team. Maybe one here or there, but you could say the same about a lot of teams in college basketball right now. Even the current Big Ten champion lost at home to Indiana or lost on the road to SC. So you're going to have some bad days. And Ohio State, that 70-49 loss, I think it was, that was one that baffled a lot of people. But they've come back from that and played very well. The overtime game against Nebraska was a season changer for both teams. Ohio State's problem now is simply do what you're supposed to do at the Big Ten tournament at least, and if you can exceed that, great. And then hope that not a lot around you gets weird. You don't want Memphis to lose in the American Conference. You don't want anything weird to happen in the WCC. St. Mary's, Gonzaga, good. Anybody else, not good. And like a San Francisco, which is still alive. You don't want them to win. You want Gonzaga or St. Mary's. So you don't want any bids to go to other directions, the automatic bids that aren't sort of pledged to them now. And if you get that, you're probably going to get in.
You think they have to win Wednesday, too?
Well, I
mean,
think
that's hard, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to say for sure. But you certainly would be much better off if you do. Remember, it's about what's around you. But if you take that loss, you're losing on a neutral court to a non-tournament team. Mm-hmm. And that's not sending any good messages to the committee. That's sending the bad message that we're really not that crazy about being in your deal if we can't win this one. And that's something you don't want to say at this point. But the other problem is if you look at the teams that are on the out list, they're all screaming that they don't want any part of it, in a sense. I mean, everything that they've done says they're not a tournament team. It's one of the reasons I wrote last week in a column that you can find pinned to my Twitter account right now about why expansion is such a horrible idea. Yes. There are not 76 NCAA tournament-worthy teams in college basketball. There are barely 68, and there certainly aren't more than 70.
I couldn't agree with you more on that. I'm with you full step on that, my friend. I wanted to ask you a big picture tournament. This season that Cooper Flagg has had at Duke, this is a kid we've been hearing about since he was honestly probably 15 years old, and he's been all of it. He's a year ahead of schedule. He still could be a high school kid if he wanted to be. So he's a year ahead of schedule as well. The season that he's had, you think of the great freshman seasons, it's up there, right?
Oh, without a doubt. I mean, he is a lock first team All-American. He will be a contender for Player of the Year. His misfortune is, one, the ACC is so poor that you look at a player like Janai Broome at Auburn and say, well, they're both having unbelievable seasons, but one is having his in an unbelievable league, and one is having his in an unbelievably poor league. And so that's a factor. But relative to what Cooper can do on a basketball floor, the competition is almost irrelevant in some ways because the guys he's playing against are players. They're just not great teams. And the things he does, the things he does with his dynamism, with his feel for the game, with his connection to his team, with his ability to play at both ends of the floor. I mean, you go back to Carmelo Anthony in 2003 when they won the national championship. Carmelo could do a lot of what Coop does on offense. They're a little bit different, but they're also somewhat similar in that they could dominate as playmakers and as scorers. But at the defensive end, Melo was never a great defender, not at the NBA level and not even at college because he was playing in a 2-3 zone. He wasn't asked to be a great defender. Cooper is a phenomenal defender. Can switch to every position on the floor, block shots, defensive rebounds. For a freshman, I'm not sure I've seen many better defensive players than Cooper Flagg.
Get you out of here on this one, my friend. How many Big Ten teams by the time we get to Selection Sunday? What's the number that get in?
Yeah, I think we're down to 9 now because Nebraska, and it's a shame for them about yesterday because Nebraska was in a good position and had they won yesterday would have at least been the first team out of the field. And now I just can't imagine a world in which you can't make the Big Ten tournament, but you can make the NCAAs. So I feel like they're somewhat eliminated from consideration now. That was a big loss that they took yesterday. Obviously a huge one that they took at the Value City Arena earlier last week because they were so close to it. Yesterday they weren't all that close. Iowa came in, and it was interesting to see the dynamic that having the smaller Big Ten tournament meant. I'm not sure how motivated Iowa would have been coming into the building yesterday in Nebraska. What would they have had to play for? A seed line in the Big Ten tournament. But because it meant in or out, they played ferociously, and they were able to knock Nebraska out of probably two tournaments at once.
Yeah. It was that, no doubt, added the drama to it. Always great talking to you, my friend. Thank you so much for your time.
Thanks, guys.
All right, there he goes. Mike DeCourcy, one of the deans of college basketball, reporting at the Sporting News, and he does the brackets at Fox Sports all over the Big Ten on the Bryant Heating and Cooling Systems fan guest hotline. The Jackets struggled in the South. They did quite well yesterday on the biggest stage, or one of the biggest stages in all the sports, and one that was desperately needed. We'll get to that. And are the Cavs ever going to lose again? That's coming up next. Bishop and Friends right here on The Fan.
A lot has changed in 30 years, but we're still that old shoe that feels worn in and well-loved. And, well, we smell a little, but you've accepted that. The Fan.
Come into your local AAA Car Care Plus and save $40 on any repair of $150 or more. Only at AAA Car Care Plus locations. And on the plus side, AAA members save more. Offer valid through March 31st. See store for details.
Hey, it's Leslie from Pella Columbus.
I'm Wilson from that other window place.
And today, Pella is excited to announce our 100-year anniversary.
Cut! Leslie, you accidentally said 100 years.
Not an accident, Wilson.
What?
When you do the windows that look the best, you tend to stick around for a while.
I can't compete with that. Buy from her.
Get the windows that have been around for 100 years. The windows that homeowners rated the leading window brand in Columbus at PellaColumbus.com.
Do your good-looking shoes hurt and you don't want to wear ugly shoes? At the Good Feet store, we can help you wear your heels, boots, and dress shoes again in comfort. Trade in your bad feet for good feet at the Good Feet store.
Back in the studio with a return visit from
Todd Schmelt.
Todd, the last time you were with us, you claimed to be
the dumbest person in Columbus.
You're being really hard on yourself.
Not in the least. You know what I got?
I hate to ask.
One of them thermostats with the dial and the needle. Woo, woo, woo.
Maybe that's not modern, but not...
What am I? Eli Whitney, Elias Howe, Johann Gertis?
I don't know who those people are.
Those are old-timey people from the 19th century, and that's me. Outdated, like my silly old thermostat.
Okay, look, you're not the dumbest guy in Columbus. You just haven't called Apex Pros.
The pros who knows?
Those those guys. Whether it's the latest technology, fixing your furnace, or a brand new system, they know all the stuff so you don't have to.
I don't have to know it all?
Nah, you just have to know the pros who knows.
Apex Pros. I'm not the dumbest guy in Columbus.
I didn't even know who Johann Gertis was.
Inventor of the gas-powered unicycle. Look it up, doy.
Okay, you don't have to be me.
No doubt about it. Columbus loves Apex Pros, the pros who knows. ApexPros.com.
ESPN Bet Sportsbook at Hollywood Casino Columbus is the place to be for all the basketball action. Watch every game at once with over 50 feet of video wall and more than 30 TVs. Endless chances to win big. Show off your jump shot on our King of the Court drawings or create your perfect bracket for a shot at 10 cash. Enjoy food and bucket specials all tournament long. Guarantee your spot. Reserve a table now at HollywoodColumbus.com. Must be 21. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-589-9966.
Get ready and gear up for the Open Season Sportsman's Expo, presented by Progressive and Can-Am. Join us at the Ohio Expo Center this Friday through Sunday. You'll find hunting products and top-notch gear at show-only prices. Showcase your buck in the Trophy Deer Contest and learn from industry experts. Even trick shooting with Byron Ferguson. Discount tickets at OpenSeasonSportsman'sExpo.com through March 13th. Be sure to check out Tacticam and Toyota Tundra, official cell cam and truck of the Expo.
All of our local shows have been ranked in the top 10 in the country by our industry peers, except for Timmy Hall and the Buckeye Show. I was going to make a joke about it, but it's more sad than anything. Poor Timmy, the Fan.
Whether you're building a single roof or a successful roofing business, roofing contractors like you need the right tools for the job, and software is no exception. Service Titan is on a mission to be the most powerful software platform for the trades, with purpose-built technology proven to maximize revenue, streamline operations, and deliver 5-star customer experiences. We are taking roofing companies like yours to the next level and beyond. Service Titan, we are built for this. See what we can do for roofers at servicetitan.com.
Switching to Progressive is a game-winning call. And that reminds us of other game-winning calls in the history of sports.
So it was the fourth quarter and we're down by 5. Sweat pouring down my face. Suddenly it hit me. If only I could wrap part of the towel around my forehead. And that's how I became the first basketball player to wear a headband.
Okay, not really a game-winning call, but it was a good call. You can make one too. Switch to Progressive and you could save hundreds. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, not available in all states.
All your favorite fan shows are available when you want them.
Head to 971thefan.com and hit that subscribe button.
The Fan, Ohio sports destination. The best hair on the air. You are listening to Bishop and Friends.
Kind of a much-needed and historic kind of win for the Jackets on Broadway yesterday. A 7-3 win over the Rangers. Of course, they're in the thick of it when it comes to that wild card mix. It was coming off of 2 straight losses down in Florida to 2 red-hot teams in the Lightning and the Panthers. In the win, Fantilli pots his 2nd career hat trick, and Zach Werenski passes Rick Nash as the all-time franchise leader in assists. He also now has 48 assists on the season. That's the most for a defenseman in CBJ history. They are at the Devils tomorrow night in terms of where they stand in the standings. A point clear of Ottawa right now, although they have Ottawa does have a game in hand for the first wild card spot. So the Jackets right now in, and it was so needed. It was so needed. You didn't need to win 7-3, but God, it's more fun when you do. And to do it on that stage, you can just see it. I mean, like, the pep in the step playing at Madison Square Garden is just a little bit different. I think added that to the importance of the game, and you got the result that you got.
And playing the Rangers, who are a good team, they're fighting for you with the wild card. A little different than playing Tampa Bay and Florida on their home ice, because those teams are just that good. We talked about it. Pretty cool to see the Jackets. These games were always more important on this trip. They're all important, obviously, but these games with the Rangers and the Devils were super important. Reese keeps showing us the wild card standings. I feel like we need to show the Metropolitan standings in here as well.
No!
Because you're 4 points behind the Devils with 2 games coming up this week against them. And you've got 2 games in hand on New Jersey, and they've lost their best player for the season.
I understand Jack Hughes is out for the Devils, and so Tuesday's game becomes something that you say, well, why not the Blue Jackets? But let's just eat what's on the plate right now. Let's stop looking to what's coming up next in this thing. Like, it's a great spot that the CBJ are in. Talk about yesterday's win and your 3 stars. You shine. Matthew Olivier rewards you for rewarding him with that extension. Zach Wierenski ties a mark set by Rick Nash, who's on your franchise's Mount Rushmore. Adam Fantilli has, before his 20th birthday, his second career hat trick, something that only Patrick Laine had done. So you're talking about the necessary jackets doing historic things for a team that wasn't supposed to be here in this moment. And so I think what's most important was, especially last week, you didn't do anything serious at the deadline. You bring in Luke Kunin from San Jose. There's some depth there, but you just build on this momentum and not really worry about where you're at in the standings, because I think the results on the ice will speak for themselves. How many games are left in this season? By then, I think they will.
19 for us, yeah. Yeah, just 17 for the Devils. Those 2 games in hand are critical. It's a logjam, though, guys. I mean, you want to talk about teams within, 5 points of where we are at 70. I mean, it's the Isles, it's the Bruins, it's the Canadians, it's the Wings, it's the Rangers, Senators, us. Now, some of those teams aren't chasing anymore. The Bruins sent Marchand packing, which, how about that? Him in a Panthers uniform. That's so hard for me to even. But that happens in hockey. There is nobody's safe in hockey. Everybody's been traded. I mean, think how many times Gretzky went to different teams. You're talking about guys who haven't been traded, all-time greats. The list is Lemieux and Crosby. Almost everybody else ends up playing for another team at some point in their career. So that's something that this league is very much about. But yeah, one thing that happened at the deadline, if you can't come to an agreement on a new contract, then move them. And you saw that, obviously, the Marchand one that happened right before the deadline on Friday was kind of the big one on that front. But 8, you got 19 to play. You can absolutely track down New Jersey. There's no question. As Bake mentioned, you got them twice here in the next couple of games, including one on Tuesday. So there are all of the kind of things that are needed. They're all there for this team.
It was nice last night seeing Tarasov get in there and play well outside of the 2 gaffes for this team on the power play, that one power play, which were just inexcusable. They really dominated that game, and Tarasov played well. That gives you hope that you've got 2 goaltenders here playing pretty well now heading down the stretch. That is always big. I thought maybe the biggest sign from last night was the way Voronkov played. I don't think Voronkov had a game like that in a while. I thought he was really good. I thought he was really noticeable and a big part of those Adam Fantilli goals there. That top line looked like the top line they had been all season long. The past couple of games, it was pretty tough for them going against Point and Kucherov and Barkov.
Yeah, that's as good as it gets, that level of it. The Cavaliers are 54-10, Reese. They are 54-10. There's only been 2 teams in NBA history to go 54, to win 54 their first 64 games. There's only been 2 of them that have not won the NBA championship. One of them was the Golden State Warriors. The other
what
one
happened
was a
that year?
Yeah, the other one was a San Antonio team. But they're not necessarily even playing their best basketball, but they're still winning. And this is another streak now, 14 in a row. They host Brooklyn tomorrow night. Yeah, I mean, they should be the favorite to win this thing. They should. Although if you watch the Lakers and Celtics on Saturday, the Celtics would say, I think we're still fine. We're going to be just fine on that front. An injury to LeBron James on Saturday night as well. That one had some juice to it. I did check out that one to see how the start was and kind of had it on for much of the game, and then it got out of control a little bit in the third when the Celtics just didn't miss for a while.
And that's what you get with Boston. I think that's why they're still, amongst most sports books, the favorite to win the NBA championship, because they feel of any of the serious contenders, the one that's just kind of like, we'll figure it out in May. Maybe we'll figure it out in June. And so you don't have any real concern with this. You asked the question before we went to break if the Cavs are ever going to lose, and I'm just looking at the schedule. And I don't really see one. I mean, they scored 112 points yesterday. That's the second lowest point output from this Cavaliers offense in this 14, soon-to-be 15-game losing streak. And they did it against Giannis and the Bucks.
I mean, in this stretch, they've beaten the Timberwolves, the Celtics, Giannis. I mean, one after another. It's one after another for them. I mean, Donovan Mitchell should be a first-team All-NBA guy. Evan Mobley should be in the mix for Defensive Player of the Year. I mean, this is an incredible stretch. I'm trying to think where the next, Memphis can be tricky.
I'll tell you this.
Memphis on Friday, I mean.
I see a loss right now on March 28th. They're playing at Detroit.
Yeah, Detroit's playing.
And it'll be one of those things to where they should have no business losing that. But despite how okay the Pistons are playing right now, it's like, yeah, they might drop that one. And you'll pull your hair out. But
you're going to lose. It's 82 games. You're going to lose when you're not supposed to.
It's going to be a lot. They've only lost 10.
Yeah, that's the crazy thing, though, that they are winning even the games where they kind of seem disinterested, and they're still winning those games. 54-10 is nuts to get that done. All right, second hour of the program. Spring football starts a week from today. What can we expect to see out of our Buckeyes over the course of the next month? You'll hear from new offensive coordinator Brian Hartline. You'll hear from new defensive coordinator Matt Patricia as well. Austin Ward at the bottom of the hour. Bishop and Friends right here on The Fan.
Here's a listener tweet. Are Men and Bone stupid in real life? Yes. Yes, they are. Common Man and T-Bone.
Weekdays from 3 to 6.
The Fan.
Basketball from noon to midnight. Scotty Vegas here, and we're throwing a Vegas-style basketball party at Hollywood Casino at the ESPN Bet Sportsbook. I even went out to Vegas to scout out how to throw this party. Tough assignment. The Fan is doing 24 hours of watch parties. The opening weekend of the tournament, there'll be custom T-shirts, Pop-A-Shot, horse games. Oh, and don't miss a game with a 50-foot video wall. Reserve your spot at HollywoodColumbus.com. Must be 21 or older to enter. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
That's the sound of a Mountain Dew. And that's you enjoying its refreshing citrus kick. That's a cool breeze suddenly whistling through your hair.
Whoa!
That's you realizing you're now on a mountain.
This is epic!
That's you stating the obvious. That's you stepping up to the plate. That's you winning your kickball game.
Yes, let's go.
That's you taking another sip of your Do the Do.
What does living your best nonstop life mean to you? Cheering on your team at that big game? A music festival with friends? A family vacation? Or maybe a vacation from your family? Live your best nonstop life with low fares and nonstop flights only at Allegiant.com.
Non-stop flights from Columbus to Fort Lauderdale, one way for as low as $44. Must be purchased by 4/24/2025 for travel between 3/13/2025 and 8/17/2025. Seats and dates are limited. Restrictions apply. See Allegiant.com for details.
Hey friends, Beamer here, and all right, somebody cue up the wedding bells because I just hit my wedding weight. Down 56 pounds with the Awaken 180, and I officially weigh the same as the day I said I do. What's even crazier was how fast I took off what probably took me 6-7 years to put on. Only 3 months in, and I've made a complete 180. We cracked open the wedding album to compare, and yes, I'm looking the same that I did 7 years ago. Although be it a few more gray hairs with a 2-year-old running around, that tends to happen. I'm not done, though. Once you learn how easy losing weight can actually be with Awaken 180, your goals, they start to get bigger. Wedding weight, yeah, I hit that. But why not see what it feels like, what it looks like to be at my ideal weight? All goals start shifting. Who knows? Maybe I'll start hitting some 5Ks, playing tennis, being more active. Probably not going to hit 5Ks, but hey, you never know what's going to happen. What does your life look like down 30 pounds, 50 pounds, or even more? To find out, do what we did and make your own 180 at awaken180weightloss.com.
Get comfortable with Logan Services. Get a free water heater with the purchase of a qualifying train system when you schedule your installation now. Find us online to schedule your free estimate. Fast, friendly service, Logan Services.
Do you realize making the minimum monthly payments on your credit cards, it'll take nearly 20 years to pay them off? What if I told you there's a way for you to get them all paid off in just a matter of weeks? Hey, it's Bobby Carpenter. Imagine wiping out all of your credit cards. Here's where you go. AFLcash.com. That's AFLcash.com. Advantage First Lending is the easy button for tapping in to hundreds of thousands of dollars in your home equity. That's not the bank money. It's your money. Listen, your home, the value is way up. And now AFLcash.com has a super fast, hassle-free program that lets you turn that equity into cash. People who do this are living their best life, their credit card debt free, with cash left over for other stuff like home improvements, maybe a vacation. See how much money you can get now. Go to AFLcash.com or call 844-394-CASH. That's 844-394-CASH. Say goodbye to greedy credit card companies. That's AFLcash.com.
Equal Housing Lender, NMLS 1209177. Subject to lender approval. NMLSConsumerAccess.org.
In-betweens are made for pizza. In between meals, meetings, thoughts, that's pizza time. Stop at Speedway and get 2 hot, delicious slices of pizza and a Mountain Dew 20-ounce for $5 with Speedy Rewards. The convenience stores of Speedway. Valid through 4/29/25. See app for full terms.
If you love to travel, Capital One has a rewards credit card that's perfect for you. With the Capital One Venture X card, you earn unlimited double miles on everything you buy. Plus, you get premium benefits at a collection of luxury hotels when you book on Capital One Travel. And with Venture X, you get access to over 1,000 airport lounges worldwide. Open up a world of travel possibilities with the Capital One Venture X card. What's in your wallet?
Terms apply. Lounge access is subject to change. See CapitalOne.com for details.
Evan Cohen here. Picking a place to build a life is a lot like selecting a draft pick. Make a decision that will set you up for long-term success. Pick Wisconsin. In Wisconsin, you'll find dynamic career opportunities, beautiful seasons, affordable living, and legendary weekends. From its high quality of life and great schools to its fine arts, culinary, and pro sports scenes, Wisconsin gives you so much to look forward to. That's why you should pick Wisconsin. Learn more about making Wisconsin your home. Visit pickwisconsin.com.
Broadcasting from the Lindsay Honda Studios.
Honda makes the cars. Lindsay makes the difference. Visit lindsayhonda.com.
WBNS-FM, HD1 Columbus. The Fan. Sports Center.
Good morning. I'm Eric Reeser. Big Ten men's basketball tournament starts Wednesday in Indianapolis. Ohio State lost at Indiana over the weekend to close the season 9-11 in conference play. Buckeyes are the 10 seed this week. They'll play Iowa in the first round Wednesday night at 6:30. Winner gets Illinois in the second round Thursday. Hear more from Ohio State hoops today at noon on the Jake Diebler Show. In the NHL, the Blue Jackets beat the Rangers 7-3 yesterday in New York. Zach Werenski had 2 assists in the win. He's got 260 for his career. That's a new Jackets franchise record. Columbus is at New Jersey on Tuesday. An NFL free agency begins this week. Teams can begin negotiations at noon. Browns and Myles Garrett agreed to a deal on Sunday. Steelers got DK Metcalf from the Seahawks. Pittsburgh's going to reportedly entertain Aaron Rodgers sometime this week. This update sponsored by BMI Federal Credit Union. Enjoy rates as low as 9.90% APR with a Visa Platinum credit card. Apply online at bmifcu.org/Visa.
Bo knows many people. He talks to the interesting ones on this show. This is Bishop and Friends.
Man, there are so many things from an entertainment purposes that are flying at you right now. And at a sports perspective, a bunch of it. We got spring football starting on Monday here. All of the hockey, all the basketball, all the stuff that's going on throughout the weekend. One thing that certainly caught my attention, I want to bring attention to, though, was a hell of a job out of Nick Myers and the lacrosse team. They went to Notre Dame, defending national champs, number 2 team in the country, and won with a goal in the last 7-8 seconds, kind of a walk-off goal late to win in South Bend. They're ranked in the top 15 in the country, Ohio State is, and some big momentum. They got Denver this week, but that was bigly out of them. That's a monster win to go to South Bend and win on a Saturday. Go ahead, Reese.
Yeah, congrats to them. Baker, what did you see on Sunday? Was there something you took in?
Yeah, what happened around here?
There was something
Locally?
I took in.
Yeah?
Your Golden Bears, state hockey champions for the first time in school history. Only the second Central Ohio team to do so.
That's a good job out of them. This is, I remember doing a story with J.D. Kershaw with the Blue Jackets. This has probably been 15 years ago or so when I was at Channel 10. And one of the things we discussed was that when the Blue Jackets landed here, you kind of had to invent hockey in Central Ohio. You had to build. One of the things they said is like, man, we got to build some rinks. There's not enough places for people to play. And it was kind of a from the ground up build here. And that the acknowledgement was, and the foresight that the McConnell family had to be able to see that and understand that for hockey to really work here, we had to become a hockey town, not just at the pro level, but at the youth level. And then that would have to trickle into the high schools and so forth and so on, because, and you can correct me if I'm wrong on this, Bake, but predominantly the best hockey in the state up until that point, and for the most of the point, it's been an Ohio high school sport, has been from Northeast Ohio. I mean, that's usually the way that it comes from. So to have that happen, and now we've had to the point where we have NHL players being developed here. I mean, that's to think about that 15, 20 years ago, no chance, just no chance of it. But it's something that's happened, and the reason it happened is you planted seeds 20 years ago. I mean, what's the old expression that if you want to sit in the shade, then plant a tree, and eventually it'll get there. And that's kind of the thing here that's happened here with the sport of hockey.
Bo, it's interesting talking to all the coaches this weekend that participated in that state tournament. The coach from Toledo St. Francis said they would really like to win this and get another trophy for Northwest Ohio. He said because it's getting harder and harder for them because Cleveland's so good and the hockey community in Columbus is just continuing to grow and getting so much better. It was a big weekend at Nationwide for Columbus hockey because not only was the state tournament there in Upper Arlington won, Ohio State played and hosted Wisconsin in a Big Ten quarterfinal this weekend at Nationwide because the state wrestling tournament was at the Shot, and they beat Wisconsin in 3 games to move on in the Big Ten tournament. So it was a big weekend at Nationwide.
This is such a fun couple of weekends on the high school side of things. The state wrestling tournament is unbelievable. Anytime I've covered that, that's just an unbelievable thing. And then the boys and girls basketball state championships that are coming. The girls finals, they're all this weekend, right?
Yeah, Friday and Saturday at UD Arena, and then the boys are the following Friday and Saturday. All 7 state championships in 2 days.
I love it. Absolutely. Yeah, 7 now too, remember. More divisions than we've ever had before. So that should be a lot of fun. Ton of talent in the state, and I love seeing the high school kids bring home those state championships. Love seeing the Buckeyes hit the football field as well. They will do so as they kick off the first kind of official build toward the 2025 season. That will happen a week from today. One of the things that I think we're all kind of curious about is how this will be managed. Remember, you're coming off of the first year of a 12-team playoff. You're talking about a team that played 16 games. You're talking about a lot of veterans that probably feel like they just got done playing games and now are going to go right back into spring football. So the managing of that is going to affect how this spring is managed by Ryan Day. He was available at the end of last week. We played a lot of this of his press conference for you, but I wanted to play this part where he talks about how this spring will be different and how the 2024 season will affect what happens over the course of the next month.
As you look at our team, there's a group of guys that have played a lot of football. And those guys who have played a lot of football coming off of last year are, especially in the first half of spring and maybe 3/4 of the spring, are going to be, treated a little bit differently than some of the other guys. That's kind of one group. The next group are the guys that have played a lot of football but are now in a different role that nearly need to step up and become starters. And then you have guys that just got here that need a ton of football. Yeah. This is going to be a different style of spring. We're still looking at the format of the spring game / showcase, but we're going to try to play as much football as we can that day. But we're also going to be smart because we know with 16 games, if you really just jump right in and have a normal spring practice, then you come back and play another, 16-game season. That's a lot of football in 1 year, and we have to be smart on that.
I love how he's not shying away from another 16 games. Like that's just norm. Like we'll see again next year playing all the way to the end of it. It's so the management of that is something that all of the coaches around the sport are dealing with. We've heard basically every coach of any prominent program say, hey, spring's going to be a little different this year. They haven't played a true spring game, I don't think, anywhere in a very, very long time. They've always been like these, odd scoring systems, skill position battles, these type of things, who can throw it the farthest, run the fastest competitions, those type of things. We haven't seen true spring games in a very, very long time. So how he manages the roster will be tricky because you got to make sure that the young guys get a bunch of reps. Meantime, you got to make sure the vets have proper rest. This will also be a different spring in that Ryan Day will have another new offensive coordinator. In this case, it's a new old one. You're going to hear from Brian in a second. Here is Ryan on why Brian is ready for the spotlight that comes with this.
I believe very strongly that Brian's going to do a great job as an offensive coordinator. I think he's really grown in a lot of areas. I give him a lot of credit for, he was named coordinator a couple years ago. I still called the plays. Then we brought in Chip and his attitude of like, I'm just going to learn from Chip in a big way. And then some of the work that he did, Keenan did, and Billy did down the stretch in some of the pass game. And I think he's got, a really good handle now on protections and even in the run game. Like he's ready to call it now.
He is, and it's a big responsibility. He'll be doing so with a new quarterback. It'll be a young quarterback, almost assuredly, depending on which one ends up winning the job. So they'll have a new quarterback they got to work in. I'm curious what style of offense he will lean into. Remember, we've had a bunch of different variations of the Ryan Day offense. One of the things that I think is so cool about how Ryan coaches is he truly coaches to the skill set of his starting quarterback. That's 100% what we've seen here. We've seen the high-flying pass-first teams like Haskins and Stroud. We've seen run stuff with Fields. We saw a little bit of both with Will last year. Kyle was more of just a thrower. So they'll build it to whichever quarterback wins it. And then Brian will build the offense around that. Heartline available Friday as well, and spoke about how being the offensive coordinator before prepared for this moment.
It helped a lot, that perspective that you think you know, you don't know until you're in those spots. Whether you want to be a coach and then you become a coach, and when you're an assistant, but then you want to be the, head position coach, and so on and so forth. Having that perspective, being in that spot is definitely different. And so the amount of growth that you can have individually in that opportunity is as much as you're willing to make it. I think if you have that mindset, you can grow a lot. If you have a shouldered off mindset like, oh, I know everything already, then you probably won't grow as much. But that opportunity then was awesome. This opportunity is great, and it feels even better currently.
I think you're always going to have, I think we learned from some of the frustration that I think fans had for some of the CJ experience and certainly some of the Kyle experience. You always want to have a quarterback who is a threat to run, who, when he sees it, will go. Kind of the Joe Burrow approach. Like, I'm going to stand back here, I'm going to go through my stuff, but then if something's there, I'm going to take off. My hunch is that's what Julian Sayin would be if he won the job, that he would be more of a Stroud-type quarterback experience. I think if Kienholz wins the job, I think you're looking at probably more of a Howard with maybe even a little bit more run in it. Lincoln's a big dude, ultra athletic, and I think you could see a little bit of him putting his nose down. I don't know that. I know that they're giving him reps. It's just hard to imagine any scenario where Tavian St. Clair would be ready to really compete for this, coming in hot the way he is. He's an ultimate weapon, but who knows if. Boy, that's a lot to turn somebody over right away as a true freshman. So I think that's probably been part of the plan. Like, hang for a year, let's get you right. Hang for 2 years, we'll get you right, and then away we go. That'll take patience, but that's kind of my hunch on how this thing goes. But I think it's going to be really critical that Ryan builds this to the skill set of the quarterback.
And that's not to say there can't be packages and other things put in place for that backup, where I think later on in the season, once you've kind of gotten the basics of your offense down, because this is going to be this is going to take some time. Like, everybody's going to need to have some patience with this because of the inexperience to all the quarterbacks that you mentioned, outside of the veteran portal person that they bring in late April. You can put in some wrinkles to fit the other strengths of whatever the backup quarterback looks like. Whatever his strength is, I think there's time in November or October and November to throw some wrinkles out there. You'll have some games that are going to be designed specifically so a backup can come and get some reps. I would love to see that be the case against Grambling in Ohio. Sorry to the Bobcats, but there are instances that I think even now more than ever, you need to take advantage of getting those quarterbacks consistent, confident reps with the ones, with the twos, so that if there's in case of emergency, you can break glass, but also that you can have that in the back of your pocket to where you've got plays that, hey, maybe we could throw this out against you, Michigan.
Make them think, yeah.
I think we've seen, though, I think there's a track record. That ain't happening, especially with this starter. Once they figure out who it is, they're going to need as many reps as possible because they haven't had reps yet. So, Reese, I'd love that. I think that's a fantasy world, though.
We haven't seen it. And I mean, it's such a pedigreed room, but it is so young. It's so young. And so what they do in terms of getting a veteran in to help stabilize and then making sure that quarterback's ready to go is a job that's going to begin in earnest a week from tomorrow. In terms of defensively, what are we going to see out of a Matt Patricia Ohio State defense? Well, he'll answer that question coming up next. Bishop and Friends right here on The Fan.
We used to have a billboard with our host's face on it, but only ugly people work here now.
You mama say you ugly, hey!
The Fan, Ohio sports destination.
1-800-GOT-JUNK is your friend with the truck.
We make junk disappear.
All you have to do is point.
All our people are in uniforms.
And our trucks are clean and shiny.
And big.
We leave spaces empty and clean.
For you.
1-800-GOT-JUNK.com.
Now at participating locations, it's UDF's new Sicilian-style pizza. We serve it on our family recipe focaccia crust, handcrafted in our bakery. And right now, get any size Coca-Cola fountain drink free with your purchase. Pizza from United Dairy Farmers, made for you.
Common Man here for Universal Windows Direct. You know what's better than new windows? A new window from Universal Windows Direct that's on sale. It's the tax time sale. You save big while making your home comfortable and energy efficient. You buy 2 windows, you get 2 free. Plus, you pay no interest till 2030. Plus, you get an extra $500 off your home improvement project in March only. Schedule your free home estimate today, 614-502-5220, universalwindowsdirect.com. Like me, you'll be saying, I love my windows.
Home values in Columbus are sky high, and you have a ton of equity. Your financial advisor thinks the market has peaked. So if you're thinking about selling, it's time. Except for 2 things. High interest rates will burn you on a new home loan, and you're not ready to move. Savvy financial advisors suggest Truehold's new Sell and Stay program. It's ingenious because they buy your home now while its value is high, but you can stay in your home as long as you want with an easy, affordable lease. Smart, right? Truehold will make you a solid cash offer, not a lowball offer like the others. It's based on your home's current value. The cash is yours to travel, pay off bills, or secure your retirement. And again, you can stay in your home with a comfortable lease. Truehold covers property taxes, insurance, and maintenance. See how much Truehold will pay for your home today. Call 1-855-300-9993 or visit Truehold.com. The smarter, faster way to cash out your home's value without moving. That's Truehold.com.
Buying a home used to feel like a complete headache. Listings here, pre-approval there, financing somewhere else. Now, Rocket is giving every home one address. Rocket.com. A single seamless homeownership platform to help you find, buy, sell, finance, and refinance your home. Everything you need, all under one roof. Visit Rocket.com, the new home for all things home ownership. Rocket. Own the dream.
Good morning, beat freaks. Who's ready to move? Let's start this day right.
Tasha's morning dance parties are meeting rave reviews.
Lose your phones and find your groove.
They need an ops manager to help their community dance the morning away.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. When you sponsor a job on Indeed, it's easier for talented candidates to find it, which makes it easier for you to hire them. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
What's the best way to make sure you don't miss any of your favorite fan shows? Oh no! Download the Fan app, silly.
Ah, damn it, I knew that.
App Store, Google Play, or just scream right at your phone. Psst, you can also listen to Buckeye games. Do it now.
This is Pause Before You Play, and it's time for more game day picks from local sports fans. You're on the air. Who you got?
Actually, I'm not betting, just chilling and watching the game.
I know that move, a pause. Sounds like you've got a winning strategy.
Exactly. After I set limits and recognized the risk, I knew it was time to stop.
Now that is responsible betting, folks. Sports are fast. Betting shouldn't be. Make a plan at pausebeforeyouplay.org. That's pausebeforeyouplay.org.
Around here, sunrise only means one thing. It's time to get to work. Whether you're hauling, herding, baling, or raking, Kubota tractors and hay tools are built to make hay any day, including while the sun shines. Learn more about how Kubota is built to get the job done right at KubotaUSA.com. Go to KubotaUSA.com/disclaimers for full disclaimers.
Fan weather.
From the Logan AC and Heat Services Weather Center.
Just like that, spring has arrived. Beautiful and sunny out there today with a high of 65. Sunshine again tomorrow with a high of 70. Partly cloudy Wednesday with a high of 65. I'm meteorologist Dylan Robichaud with your 10 TV weather impact forecast on 97.1 The Fan.
Your morning just got beefier. Morning Juice with Beamer, Bobby, and Shark.
Weekdays from 6 to 9.
The Fan, Ohio sports destination. Connect with the show on X at 971BFS. Jump in our YouTube chat or just send a raven. You're listening to Bishop and Friends.
Indeed you are. Bishop & Friends is sponsored by Diamond Cellar, your true jeweler for over 75 years. The guy we really were excited to hear from on Friday was Matt Patricia. So, Matt, obviously a long and distinguished career in New England as a defensive coordinator under Bill Belichick and been under that umbrella for a long time. Did not go the way that he intended. I thought he was really candid in the mistakes that he made in Detroit when he was the head coach. I thought he came across incredibly likable in his availability on Friday, and a spot that I think he's kind of excited to be in the middle of. He talked about the enthusiasm of being the defensive coordinator at Ohio State. Here's Matt Patricia.
I'm so excited to be here. I mean, just to be honest with you, I know I'm probably going to say it 1,000 times, but it's really the truth. Ohio State, everything that it represents, college football, it's kind of a long story for me. I've been in the NFL for a long time. I started off as a college coach. I actually coached with Coach Walton a long time ago at Syracuse University, so we go back, it might be almost 25 years now or longer. But for me, the NFL was great. I had a great run. It was a lot of fun. We won some big games, which was really cool. But I just love the college environment. I really got into coaching when I left engineering to, just pursue my passion of really working with young men.
One of the things I think a lot of people were curious about is, okay, great, schematically should be pretty good, but are you going to be able to get out there and recruit the way that is now required in the sport? Here's Matt Patricia on the challenge of recruiting.
Huge adjustment, absolutely. Recruited a long time ago. It was a while, and that landscape has completely changed. You know what? I love the recruiting process, though, and I'm in the deep end right now. I'm trying to swim and get caught up, as I dive in. But, building those relationships and, again, having conversations with parents, having conversations with, mom, dad, potential player for us, student athlete, telling them what and how we can help develop and grow, their son. That's really important.
So the next thing you want to know is, philosophically, how will a Matt Patricia defense differ from what we've seen from Jim Knowles the last couple of years? Here is Patricia on exactly how he's going to go about it defensively, included that there's going to be some depth that's played.
My whole goal is to try to figure out, what do you do well? How do I put you in the best position to go get on the field and do that job well, to the best of your ability? Because if you can play fast, you can play aggressive, because I have you in your skill set, then you're going to be disruptive as a defensive player. You're going to help us win as a defense, win as a team, and we can fit the pieces around where everybody goes, in that accord. So, and then grow from there. So that's kind of like, I've coached all of it, right? It doesn't really matter. I've coached 3-4, 4-3, nickel, big nickel, dimes, all those packages, 4 down fronts, 5 down fronts, odd spacing. To me, it's all like, hey, that guy can do this or that guy can do this. And then I also think it creates roles. So it's not always like the same 11 on the field. So if you can have a really good skill set and you can do something, and if it's in a critical situation, then we got to get you in that spot and help you be in that situation to win the game.
I mean, I think that gets you to how C.J. Hicks is going to go to defensive end. If you listen to what he said right there. I mean, right? I mean, that's it. That's the first thing I thought of is, okay, how do we get the best 11, put you in a position to succeed? We've all looked at C.J. Hicks and go, see ball, get ball, go sack quarterback, and that's what he's going to do now. I mean, that, to me, if that's not music to yours as a Buckeye fan, I don't know what is.
That's amazing that you said that, because when I heard that this morning, that's the exact same thing I thought of. As I'm thinking of pass rushing downs, C.J. Hicks is in the game, and he is a heat-seeking missile for the quarterback.
Well, they're going to need depth at that defensive front, and they're going to need, probably guys in the portal, but you're talking about a 16, 17 game season. This, like almost every other position, is going to require depth. And I do think that his approach to your defense matches what your opponent does well on offense, varies week to week. But also, you've got so many talented players that just see ball, get ball, or be a defender. The less they're thinking, the faster they're playing. And I think he really gravitates toward that. And I also liked, if you watch the video of him, he does what I do a lot when you get excited. You talk with your hands. And so I really related to that a lot, because there was just so much hand talking that, buttresses his point about being enthused and excited to be at this place coaching at Ohio State, because how could you not be? Look at the talent you have. Look at the games you get to play. The first time he's going to be defensive coordinator at an Ohio State team is against Texas and Arch Manning.
Yeah.
You telling me any defensive coordinator in the country wouldn't, outside of Jim Knowles, wouldn't look at that and be like, yeah, I want to be there for that.
You bring up Knowles. He, Knowles was unbelievable here. I mean, he had the number 1 defense in the country this year. He fixed the defense relatively quickly, and by the time he was done here, it was a number 1 defense. But one thing that we've said before about Knowles, like if he would read a children's book, you'd fall asleep. Like there was a tenor in his voice, an intentional way of speaking that was very slow and very measured, very professorial, I think. Is a good way to describe it, the way that Knowles sometimes would speak. And obviously is getting up there in age, still obviously at the top of his game based on what we saw this year, and I'm sure he'll do very good at Penn State. But Patricia comes like a shot at adrenaline, I think. And I didn't know he had that in him. I didn't know until I listened to the press conference on Friday.
Same.
Because I hadn't heard him much. The only time that I had seen him at a microphone was the Detroit stuff. You know, like, and he wasn't that type of thing. Obviously, he came to such prominence, and I do think, like, I think the Barstool stuff helped him when he was in New England with the Super Bowls. Didn't he wear like a Roger Goodell clown shirt getting off the bus or off the plane to the Super Bowl once? Wasn't there something like that he did? I feel like there was, but there was this. He was such a cult figure around New England. But you didn't hear him talk so much. When you think about New England and his time there, you think of Belichick and you think of Brady. I mean, those are the two. They speak for the organization. And the coordinators kind of came and went, but they were nameless, faceless. And a lot of them went on and tried to be head coaches. It didn't work. So when I think of Patricia at a microphone, I think of him in Detroit, and some of those conversations went south kind of in a hurry. The guy that I heard on Friday, I was like, man, this is a dude who's got a ton of experience, who's won at the highest level, who is excited to be here, is excited to teach, and excited for the opportunity. And my guess is when he meets with the defensive positional coaches, that same set of adrenaline is given to them.
It was interesting hearing him because he was making the rounds on Media Row at Super Bowl.
He was.
And hearing him some there, and you thought, man, this is a guy that sounds rejuvenated. Maybe sometimes for these guys, getting away from it, taking a year off, getting to watch games. Him and Belichick went all over the college landscape, and we're watching games and kind of breaking down what the college game was like. And I'm sure coaching on a staff with Bill Belichick is hard sometimes because they demanded perfection. They demanded excellence, and that was the standard. Not to saying that that's not the standard and it's not going to be with him, but probably just getting away, a little break, let him recharge the batteries and realize, hey, this is what I love. This is what I want to do again.
He even talked about it at his availability of every time he gets in the building, he looks for Caleb Downs.
Yeah.
And that's got to energize you as a player, to your point, of the coach every morning's coming in, whether you're in the weight room, whether you're, getting treatment. He's like, hey, let's talk defense. And that kind of passion that he exuded Friday, that it's infectious. And I think when you have that in the beginning of the season and you get to some of those harder moments and you have harder conversations like, why aren't you playing well? Why aren't you doing this? You can kind of look back to the relationships that you were built at this time of the year. I think this guy truly does have the best for me and my future. He has the best interest of this team. And that's how when the shells start flying when you're in a foxhole, it can make it a lot easier to, ELE. Everybody loves everybody, so let's do this for everybody. And that's how you win a national championship.
I did have it right. He was in the Barstool Goodell clown shirt getting off the plane at the Super Bowl.
He was asked about that, I guess, when he was interviewing for the Lions job. And similarly, Lions brass were like, yeah, we're not worried about that. Like, that's just a T-shirt, man.
That was the first time I knew who he was, though. Was that. That's when I was like, oh. And you think, well, there's some defiance to that. There's some chestiness to that. There's confidence in that. You don't do that unless you have complete belief in what you do and what you've built. You don't do it unless you do it, and he does. And I thought he certainly, you want to talk about winning a press conference, I thought Matt Patricia won his press conference pretty big on Friday. Austin Ward was there. We'll ask him that question in 2 minutes. Bishop and Friends right here on The Fan.
Everyone deserves a fast and reliable connection. One that helps better their everyday through the things they value most. Friends and family, education and career. A connection that opens pathways to opportunity and builds roads to a better future. At Spectrum, we're committed to delivering just that every single day. Because with the right connection, anything is possible. That's Life Unlimited. That's Spectrum.
Back in the studio with a return visit from
Todd Schmelt.
Todd, the last time you were with us, you claimed to be
the dumbest person in Columbus.
You're being really hard on yourself.
Not in the least. You know what I got?
I hate to ask.
One of them thermostats with the dial and the needle. Woo, woo, woo.
Maybe that's not modern, but not...
What am I? Eli Whitney, Elias Howe, Johann Gertis?
I don't know who those people are.
Those are old-timey people from the 19th century, and that's me. Outdated, like my silly old thermostat.
Okay, look, you're not the dumbest guy in Columbus. You just haven't called Apex pros.
The pros who knows?
Those guys. Whether it's the latest technology, fixing your furnace, or a brand new system, they know all the stuff so you don't have to.
I don't have to know it all?
Nah, you just have to know the pros who knows.
Apex pros. I'm not the dumbest guy in Columbus.
I didn't even know who Johann Gertis was.
Inventor of the gas-powered unicycle. Look it up, doy.
Okay, you don't have to be me.
No doubt about it. Columbus loves Apex Pros, the pros who knows. ApexPros.com.
Breaking news coming in from Bet365, where every nail-biting over... Bet365. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. 21 plus only. Must be physically located in Ohio.
The Fan Poll is brought to you by Caster Connection. Visit CasterConnection.com to shop online or to work with our Caster Solution specialists.
He knows everything about the Buckeyes. He's been offered tens of dollars by a certain team to spill his secrets. He's told that certain team to go to hell.
Damn you all to hell!
He's Austin Ward.
Indeed he is, and he joins on the Brian Heating Cooling Systems fan guest hotline. Well, we had ourselves a football meat sandwich on Friday, my friend. You had a lot of good stuff there to talk about. So let's start with quarterback, and Ryan saying that they're going to roll three, and I certainly understand why he would say those things. But do you think that he can handle this quarterback battle the way that he's handled the last couple, where it's gone into camp the way that it has, with all three of these guys being so young? And how do you think he will handle it when all's said and done?
Yeah, I think, Bo, that it probably will look like most of these. I don't know. Like, Lincoln Kienholz is really the crux of this, right? Does he want to stick around? Can he stick around? I think he probably will. I think if he was trying to go find the biggest bidder or an immediate opportunity to start, he probably would have needed to do that already this offseason. So if that premise is correct and Lincoln Kienholz is looking at this in a situation that's more similar to Devin Brown and in some way, like, this isn't the Joe Burrow, Dwayne Haskins, you must have an answer right now situation. I think that's the way that I'm looking at it, and that, Lincoln Kienholz has still only been doing this as a full-time quarterback for 2 years. And I think he's got some recognition and some awareness that, like, hey, maybe he's not ready to go be a starter in a new offense somewhere else. Maybe the best opportunity is continue to compete with Julian Sayin. And I really believe that there is potential there with what Kienholz can do as a dual threat once you can maybe fine-tune some of the other skills. I think Julian Sayin is going to be the starting quarterback for Ohio State, but the Buckeyes also don't want to be in a situation where they have to go into the spring portal window, lose Lincoln Kienholz, and then try and replace that spot with a veteran backup from somewhere else who then now doesn't know Ohio State's offense, doesn't know the system, doesn't know the personnel, all those other things. Like, Lincoln Kienholz makes the most sense for Ohio State, and I think Ohio State currently makes the most sense, for him. So, like, you look at this, I do think that you don't have to make a decision on April 12th in the spring showcase, and that a lot of the coach speak that we get from Ryan Day about practice 1 through 15 and practice 16 being a continuation in August, like, I'm actually on board with that more this spring than maybe I've ever been before.
So I think we're all kind of on that same spot with saying, he came in and then he jumped Lincoln right away, and it'd take a heck of a thing for it to go the other way. Yeah. In terms of stylistically, and now Brian Hartline is going to be at the controls of that, and he was available last week as well. If it is Sayin, as we all kind of anticipate that it will be, what variation, because Ryan's had so many different variations offensively, Austin. I mean, it was completely pass heavy with Dwayne and CJ. It was not that Justin, it was more of a mix. Will was a little bit of both too. What is the Buckeye offense if Julian Sayin is the quarterback?
This will sound a little bit crazy based on the reputation that Will Howard had when he got here. And I think you look at them and Julian Sayin is not 6'5", he's not 240 pounds, but I think the way that the passing attack looked a year ago, it's probably going to be pretty similar with Julian Sayin. The part of the game where Will Howard had his greatest success was incredible accuracy and good timing on the short and intermediate stuff. And we can, quibble and talk about the deep ball, although when he had to deliver on 3rd and 11, he found Jeremiah Smith, and Ohio State won a national championship. But, I think that you view Julian Sayin as a prospect. You know that the ability to make those quick decisions and the right reads, get the ball out quickly, get it out accurately, that all exists, and probably in a way that's viewed as an evolution of Will Howard, a better version of Will Howard to make some of those same throws. And I think that will exist. Will he be a battering ram on 4th and 2? No, I don't think that's likely. But you've seen Julian Sayin use his legs and use his feet when he's come in these games off the bench. So I think that part of the offense still exists in a way that's, probably more productive than 2 years ago with Kyle McCord when he was injured and not as effective doing that stuff. And so the part where I think Ohio State adjusted offensively a year ago, not relying on Will Howard to do that, but to have that in the arsenal, I think that Julian Sayin can do that. Will he win a lot of foot races head-to-head against Lincoln Kienholz? No, I don't think that he will. But I don't know that the offense will change all that dramatically, which sounds like a pretty crazy thing to say given the way the skill sets are viewed between Will Howard and Julian Sayin. But I think the offense itself will probably look pretty similar, and then that puts the onus on Tyler Bowen and the offensive line or James Peoples and C.J. Donaldson to supplement that with a productive run game.
So the other thing that I thought this was really fascinating, how Ryan talked about kind of the 3 different groupings he has on the roster. He's got veterans who played 16 games, who played a ton of football. He doesn't need to see much from. Like, that's obviously 4 and 2 and 6, and there's a bunch of them, right? And then he's got this other group of like guys who have been here that need to ascend. So then I think about the guys returning on the defensive line. I think about Peoples. I think about those type of guys who have to ascend. And then he's got these pups. All of these young stars who have come in. I mean, you think of Pettijohn and Sanchez and all those guys. What did you make of how Ryan is going to kind of meld that together all over the next month, starting next Monday?
Yeah, I think he gave a little bit of the head for how he would like to do it, which is to have OTAs in summer in the build-up to training camp so that he could give Caleb Downs and Jeremiah Smith, because, look, I mean, Caleb Downs doesn't need the reps, and Jeremiah may not either, but he's still only been in college for 1 calendar year. You'd like to still be able to fine-tune the skills and take the next step, but you have to walk a fine line. He didn't only have the longest season of his life, but one of the longest seasons that any college football player has had to have. So the fact that he's doing that at such a young age is taxing. And if you want to get to 15, 16, 17 games again next year, you have to start planning for that. So that's the delicate balancing act, and I think it makes this is why you're seeing the spring games turn into showcases or 7-on-7 opportunities, because if you start putting these hits on those bodies in March and April and you're trying to play into late January the way the Buckeyes did, it's not sustainable. It puts your roster at risk at a point where the rosters are getting smaller and scholarship limits and walk-on and all that stuff like that has changed the game. And so you have to find the right balance, and I don't know that they've perfectly settled on what that looks like, because you still want to be able to bring along in a new system to some respects with Matt Patricia and Caleb Downs, like get them out there and what that looks like. There's a lot of cases to be made that why you would force the issue to get reps or justify a case to put these guys on the field. But I do think that last year Ohio State approached it more patiently, even back in spring. And again, a lot of those guys have played a ton of football, as we all know. But they're gonna have to force themselves, I think, to be patient again in March and April with the bigger picture in mind. Now, the part that we didn't mention there, Bo, is not just bringing along younger guys and getting them ready, but they play Texas in the end of August. Like there is no ramp up there. They're going right into a big time game. And Ryan Day, that was like the third time already this offseason where I've heard him say the exact amount of days until the season kicks off. So you know that it's consuming his thoughts, and he's already thinking about what that looks like. And a week from now, will we see 2 and 4 and 6 do a lot of work? Probably not. But even a veteran like Kenyatta Jackson or Caden Curry, these guys are in prominent roles, and you'd like to see what that looks like for them. So I don't have an easy answer for it, and I know that that's the primary focus for this coaching staff, is to figure out what that looks like and what it needs to be starting next Monday, because they've already adjusted it too, Bo, to cut that down from 5 weeks of practice down to 4. So, they're constantly evaluating that part of it.
I took note of that too, buddy. I don't think he would know the exact amount of days to the start of the season if it were Grambling. No disrespect to Grambling. I took note of, yeah. It's a little different when Arch is coming in here with the Hook'em Horns to start the year. What were your impressions of Patricia?
Yeah, I thought it was maybe I shouldn't be surprised by this part of it. It was like a head coach's press conference. It was really good. I thought he was in command, and the way that you and I have had this conversation a ton of times, like winning a press conference, losing a press conference, at the end of the day doesn't ultimately matter, but it is, I think, one of the clearest pictures that we have of what these guys are like as communicators in the room. If you can go present these ideas clearly to a rank amateur ball knower like me, like I'm trying to learn, and I thought that he did help put into perspective what he's trying to do, what it's going to look like, how he wants to accomplish it, how he got to this point in his career. I think 5-6 weeks ago, I wouldn't be able to change my opinion on it. I was surprised that he has emerged as the candidate. But when you sit down and listen to Matt Patricia on Friday, the way we had a chance to, I think you can see the big picture, or at least the idea of why Ryan Day landed on this as the solution that he wanted. And there are some moments in there that I picked up on that I wasn't fully aware of. Like, you knew that there had been a relationship between Matt Patricia and Tim Walton, but it's like, well, that was a long time ago. Does that actually carry weight? It seems like it did. And when you have those two guys at the top to call, this defense along with McInerney, and then you throw in, 33 and Larry Johnson coming back for another year, these guys have to fit together in a way that we talk about the roster doing that, but the coaching staff has to have that chemistry and culture fit. And I think for day one, in terms of public-facing Matt Patricia, I thought that he showed why that was probably the pick that Ryan Day made. Is it going to work? We'll wait and find out. But I can see what prompted that move at this point, and the pieces fit together pretty well in my mind.
Yeah, kind of a little shot to adrenaline is kind of what it felt like. Like he just had a lot of juice to him, and was really likable, which is, you see somebody from afar, and then you get him. It's the perception's a little bit different than the reality, but I thought he crushed it. You always crush it, my friend. Appreciate your time as always. We'll do it again next week.
I can't wait, though. We're going to get some football going.
Football, baby. Football. It always wins. There he goes. Austin Ward, Dotting the I's, the podcast on the Rivals Network on the Bryan Heating Cooling System Fans Guest Hotline. We do a little thing or not a thing up next. Bishop and Friends, right here on The Fan.
Stop struggling to get your job post seen on other job sites. Indeed's Sponsored Jobs feature helps you stand out and hire fast. Start at Indeed.com/credit.
The Ohio State Coaches Daily Show is brought to you locally on The Fan by Credit Union of Ohio.
This is a Daily Show with Coach Jake Diebler, brought to you by Encova Insurance. 66-60. Indiana defeats Ohio State. Certainly, Jake, it seemed in the second half the offense was a little bit of a challenge with the way that Indiana was playing defense.
I thought we just, I don't know what the numbers were, 3 for our last whatever. We just didn't quite. Our shot quality wasn't as good as it was in the first half, or maybe to start the second half. And I thought we stopped trusting each other a little bit, which we've played offensively at a really high level these last couple games and have shared it at a really high level. And I thought there were a couple times we forced up some tough stuff, and we needed to share it a little bit better. And ultimately, they made a couple more plays than we did down the stretch. Galloway's 2 threes obviously were huge. We had a couple turnovers in that segment that put us behind there in the last minute and a half.
All right, we'll have another comment in just a moment.
Hi, I'm Archie Griffin, 2-time Heisman Trophy winner. The right coverage can be a game changer, both on and off the field. That's why Encova Insurance and their local independent agents are prepared for what's next and protect what matters most to you. Whether that's your home, car, business, or family, Encova's got your back with a policy that fits you perfectly. With local independent agents in your neighborhood and innovative insurance products that can be tailored to fit your unique needs, Encova's playbook is an easy win for your peace of mind. You can trust their team of agents to develop a strategy that's just right for you. And it's not just X's and O's. Your expert agent will guide you and provide insurance solutions so you can confidently manage your risk and count on a financially secure future. For auto, home, and business insurance, you want Encova on your team. Visit Encova.com today to find an agent near you. Encova is a proud sponsor of Ohio State Athletics. Go Bucks!
66-60, Indiana over Ohio State. You know, Jake, in a day in which it was a struggle for some of you guys offensively, Micah Parrish seemed as though he had some good things going offensively.
Yeah, I thought he had some really good stuff. Couple turnovers there. Just, you know, he's got to be a little more under control in the paint, but I thought his aggressiveness, I can live with some of those turnovers with his aggressiveness. I thought it was good. You know, we just had some timely ones that really hurt us there in the second half.
Coach, when you look at the strength of Indiana, it starts with Trey Galloway. You know, he's an upperclassman. He's been here at Indiana. I thought there were times where he really hurt your team.
Yeah, you know, we weren't physical enough, Ron, on ball screen coverage. It's something we really worked on his last 2 days and just didn't execute it well enough. We gave him, you know, a couple different looks there in the second half to try and get him out of rhythm. And, you know, I felt like obviously he hit 2 huge threes. He and Leo, you know, and watching film these last couple weeks, I just feel like those 2 guys have really played at a high level, and it's raised Indiana's level significantly.
It's the Ohio State Sports Network from Learfield.
Hey, basketball fans, Credit Union of Ohio wants to help you score more by making life more affordable. It's time to play with a team that helps you win every day. Credit Union of Ohio's loan rates have dropped to provide affordable financing for the things you want and need. It's time to reevaluate your current loans and consider refinancing with a team that cares about you. Check out current specials and get started scoring more money at cuofohio.org. That's cuofohio.org. NCUA insured, equal housing lender.
Everybody knows that Roosters is a fun, casual joint with their award-winning waitstaff, great food, fun, and laughter. It's a quick stop on the way home to sit back and unwind. It's a front row seat to the big game. Roosters is where you, your family, and friends can order pizzas, sandwiches, salads, and more. And the home of award-winning wings that are fresh, never frozen, and so big you won't believe it. It's your family's other dinner table. Roosters, a fun, casual joint, and the official wing sponsor of Ohio State Athletics.
Come into your local AAA Car Care Plus and save $40 on any repair of $150 or more. Only at AAA Car Care Plus locations. And on the plus side, AAA members save more. Offer valid through March 31st. See store for details.
The Open Season Sportsman's Expo, presented by Progressive and Can-Am, this Friday through Sunday heads to the Ohio Expo Center. Tickets on OpenSeasonSportsman'sExpo.com. Buy early and save. Be sure to check out Tacticam and Toyota Tundra, official cell cam and truck of the Expo.
My house has a new glow. I love my windows. Universal Windows Direct.
It's the limited time tax sale. You buy 2 windows, you get 2 free, plus no interest until 2030 and an extra $500 off only in March. Call them today, 614-502-5220, universalwindowsdirect.com.
I love my windows. They've got that brand new home effect. Universal Windows Direct.
Bishop and Friends is sponsored by Diamond Seller, your true jeweler for over 75 years. The Fan, Ohio sports destination.
First Friday miracles are always better with Uncle Bo. This is Bishop and Friends.
All right, time for a little thing or not a thing on a Monday. Hit it, fellas.
Thing or not a thing.
Sponsored by Apex Plumbing Pros.
So I made the mistake of trying to explain what legal tampering was to my girlfriend over the weekend, and I didn't do a good enough job, or it doesn't make any sense, or it's the dumbest thing in the world, because that begins at noon today. And she looked at me and she goes, "That's really stupid." And I go, "Well, a lot of things in the NFL are, but it happens today."
Well, what's funny, Reese, is it begins today at noon, but it's already going.
Yeah, they've been doing it for weeks.
So it doesn't even go on. I mean, all yesterday, like this morning, and we're going to talk a lot of NFL in the final hour, but man, what's the point of the deadline?
Yeah, ESPN's Adam Schefter reported Sunday, so 24 hours before legal tampering began, that Aaron Rodgers has emerged as a quarterback option for the Steelers. Rodgers and the Steelers are expected to talk and explore a union between the four-time MVP and longtime coach Mike Tomlin. Despite the Jets' 5-12 finish in 2024, Rodgers passed for over 3,800 yards and 28 touchdowns. Thing or not a thing?
Well, once I saw that they acquired DK Metcalf, then I thought, this is the first thing that I thought, is they must think that they can go get Rodgers because they're looking for, now you've got some weapons. Now Rodgers would fit in that mix pretty well. I know they got a lot of balls in the air, right? They've got the Justin Fields stuff in the air, and we'll get into that a little bit later. And they also potentially could have the Sam Darnold balls in the air. So this, to me, though, has now become, I think there's two spots for Rodgers that make the most sense for him if winning matters to him. And I think it's here, and I think it could be Minnesota. I think those are the two spots for him. This one jumps out to me, though, and I think it's very different than it would have been prior to the DK Metcalf acquisition over the weekend.
I think this is a thing because I think this means Justin Fields and Russell Wilson are out in Pittsburgh. It seems like there's not a lot of want on the Pittsburgh side of things to have Russ back. And it seemed like Russ was going to have a reunion with Pete Carroll, then all of a sudden they trade for Geno Smith out of nowhere. Could Russ go back to Seattle? Who knows? But it sounds like they wanted to work out a deal with Justin Fields, but it sounds like Fields would rather test free agency here. So the Steelers, DK Metcalf and George Pickens, that's some dangerous weapons. You got to get someone who could get him the ball, and I think Rodgers could still do that.
So this just coming down about 60 seconds ago. Former NFL Defensive Player of the Year Khalil Mack has reached an agreement today on a one-year, fully guaranteed $18 million deal with the Los Angeles Chargers. This from Adam Schefter, adding Chargers get back their pass rush standout. Thing or not a thing?
Yeah, I mean, I think they could keep one, and they chose Mack over Joey. Is what it seemed like to me.
Yeah, they had to keep something, right? And Joey Bosa's already out the door. You've got to have someone to rush the passer. And did you said it was $18 million, Reese?
Yep, fully guaranteed.
I mean, I know Khalil Mack's getting up there a little bit, but $18 million for a pretty good pass rusher, that seems pretty cheap in today's market.
Last month, Bowling Green announced their head football coach, Scott Loeffler, had accepted a position in the NFL as the quarterback coach for the Super Bowl winning Philadelphia Eagles. This was after 6 seasons in Northwest Ohio. On Sunday, the Falcons announced it's official. Let's welcome the 21st head coach in BGSU program history. Eddie George is back home in the great state of Ohio. They're introducing head coach Eddie George today in Bowling Green. George spent the last 4 seasons at FCS Tennessee State. Thing or not a thing?
Well, it's a huge thing. I think Eddie will win there. I think what I'll be curious about, he has a great relationship with Urban, too, and Urban coached there. I think what will be curious is what is their appetite for it. He's 51, right? Do I have that right? I think he's 51. So he was really good at Tennessee State. There was time when he was rumored that maybe he would come here on the offensive staff in some way. That's certainly been rumored through the last couple of years. But I love this for him. Eddie George, I don't know that I've ever seen him not be the coolest person in the room.
He's on Broadway.
I mean, he always is. This will put that to the test because their color scheme is tricky. It's a tricky color scheme, and it's
orange and brown.
Yeah, it's tricky.
You don't say.
It's tricky. It's a tricky color scheme. So, that will make it a little tricky but I think even Eddie can make it look cool.
See Eddie wearing a lot of white BGSU gear up there on the sidelines. I think this is a tremendous thing and also pretty cool. His first collegiate touchdown was scored against Bowling Green. Yeah. So that's kind of a full circle moment there. I think Eddie's going to go there, and I think he'll do a good job, and I think you'll see him maybe have NFL opportunities here in the not-too-distant future if he does a good job there at Bowling Green.
Yeah. Trying to see what their schedule looks like. They've got non-conference games against Cincinnati and Louisville, and then the old gauntlet that is the Mid-American Conference coming up in 2025. Alex Ovechkin scored his 886th career goal in an empty netter yesterday to seal the Capitals' 4-2 win over the Kraken. Ovechkin moves 9 goals away from breaking Gretzky's 894. Jeez. That's Ovechkin's 33rd goal of the season, his 1600th career point. He also extended his NHL record for most career empty net goals with 65. His next goal in March, according to ESPN Research, will be the 158th March goal of his career, which will surpass Gretzky for the most in any calendar calendar month. Gretzky finished his career with 157 goals in the month of December alone. Thing or not a thing?
You know what is every single one of the things you just mentioned is a very, very big thing, because you would never have said 10 years ago that anyone would track down Gretzky on goals. Like, it just seemed like it was so far out there, no one would ever be able to track it down. So the longevity, all of those things are a thing. You know what really jumped out to me, though, dude? He missed some time. He's missed a little bit of time this year. He has 33 goals this year. Like, that's nuts. There's a LeBron James component to this, where to have his age and still be this prolific. I mean, this isn't like limping to the finish line. Like, this is a lot like LeBron. He's going to annihilate this record. I mean, he could play another 3-4 years. He could put this thing so far out there that Austin Matthews is going to have to play till he's 70 to get it.
This is a huge thing. Bo, one thing about that with the record, there have been rumors for a couple years that once he broke the record, if he did, he would leave and head back to Russia and finish his career in the KHL, kind of like Jaromir Jagr did at the end there. So maybe that record won't be way far out there. But, I mean, Gretzky's record was way far out there, right? So who knows if it'll ever get broken. This is kind of a sucky thing right now, though, for those 2 back-to-back games with the Blue Jackets. They've got 14 games before that first game when the ABC moved that game to 12:30 and it would be national TV. He's going to break it before then, I think, at the pace he's going.
He seems like he scores every night. So he has 33 goals. That's tied for 4th in the league. Draisaitl leads with 46.
And like you said, he missed, I think, 2 or 3 weeks of the season.
Yeah.
Early on.
What's his game played number on it? I'm pulling it up right now. He's played in 48 games. He's projected to only play in 62 games. He missed 20 games.
There's 15 games between now and their first matchup with the Blue Jackets. So that'll be in Columbus Saturday, April 12th. So 9 goals, 14 games.
I'd love to see the history of it. It'd be very, very cool. But yeah, no, that's a huge thing, and remarkable that a guy is still that elite. We'll blitz the weekend, and obviously a very, very busy weekend in the National Football League that is only getting more busy here this morning. We'll get into all of that in the final hour. Bishop and Friends right here on The Fan.
The only show where sports talk is eclipsed by food talk. Oh, yeah. Common Man and T-Bone.
Weekdays from 3 to 6.
The Fan.
When you're hiring, have you ever felt like you're missing out on meeting truly great candidates for your roles? It seems impossible to find them, but they have to be out there somewhere, right? Well, they're not hard to find when you know where to go, and that place is ZipRecruiter. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter helps 10 million people with their job search every day. And because these people are actively looking for jobs just like yours, it's easy to find the right person right away. In fact, 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. But if you're not using ZipRecruiter, you're missing out. So see what it's like when the impossible is easy. When you go to ZipRecruiter.com/free right now to try ZipRecruiter for free. Once again, that's ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter.com/free. Never miss out on great candidates with ZipRecruiter.
Love Logan Services? Share your story and be rewarded. Refer your friends and your family for their heating, cooling, and plumbing needs and earn up to $200. Visit us online for details. Excellence in every degree, that's Logan Services.
Bring the thrill of the stadium to your wallet with the Love My Crew checking account from Pathways, the only checking account that rewards you for being a Crew fan. Pathways Financial Credit Union, your true financial partner. Federally insured by NCUA.
March is on at Lindsay Honda. Shoot your shot and save. It's madness. You get to choose your finance rate on over 600 new Lindsay Hondas. 0%, 1.9, 2.9, and up to a full 60 months long, and no trade-in required. This deal works with 0 down. March is on at Lindsay Honda. Save with rates as low as 0% at lindsayhonda.com.
Honda makes the cars. Lindsay makes the difference. See lindsayhonda.com for details.
Hey, it's Leslie from Pella Columbus.
I'm Wilson from that other window place. Wait, Leslie, what's that dude doing over there at that window?
Well, that dude is Chase, and Chase is making that window look perfect. We're sticklers on detail, Wilson, both in our showroom and definitely in people's homes.
Chase, be careful. May have spilled some coffee over there just a bit ago.
Oh, he knows. He seems to work a lot more when you're around, Wilson. Get the window that homeowners rated the leading window brand in Columbus at PellaColumbus.com.
At NJM Insurance, we like to think of ourselves as a symphony. We start with a foundation of doing the right thing. Then we layer in dedicated reps whose priority is you. Add in excellent discount programs. And last, but certainly not least, we put our policyholders first. And the reason we don't use jingles or mascots is because it's just not us. No jingles or mascots, just great insurance. NJM. Insurance underwritten by NJM Insurance Company and its subsidiaries.
Buying a home used to feel like a complete headache. Listings here, pre-approval there, financing somewhere else. Now, Rocket is giving every home one address. Rocket.com. A single seamless homeownership platform to help you find, buy, sell, finance, and refinance your home. Everything you need, all under one roof. Visit Rocket.com, the new home for all things home ownership. Rocket. Own the dream.
Good morning, beat freaks. Who's ready to move? Let's start this day right.
Tasha's morning dance parties are meeting rave reviews.
Lose your phones and find your groove.
They need an ops manager to help their community dance the morning away.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. When you sponsor a job on Indeed, it's easier for talented candidates to find it, which makes it easier for you to hire them. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
Broadcasting from the Lindsay Honda Studios.
Honda makes the cars. Lindsay makes the difference. Visit lindsayhonda.com.
WBNS-FM, HD1 Columbus. The Fan. Sports Center.
Good morning. I'm Eric Reeser. The basketball Buckeyes are on the bubble as Selection Sunday is this weekend. The Big Ten men's basketball tournament begins Wednesday in Indianapolis. Ohio State finished 9-11 in the conference. They'll play Iowa in the first round Wednesday at 6:30. Winner gets Illinois Thursday in the second round. Hear more from Ohio State's head coach today at noon on the Jake Diebler Show. The OSU women's squad bowed out of the Big Ten tournament in the quarterfinals to eventual tournament champion UCLA. Buckeyes will find out their seed and first round opponent in the Big Dance Sunday night at 8 o'clock. In the NHL, the Blue Jackets are at the Devils on Tuesday. CBJ currently occupy the first wildcard spot in the East thanks to that 7-3 win over the Rangers on Sunday. And NFL free agency begins on Wednesday. Teams can talk to players starting today at noon. This update sponsored by BMI Federal Credit Union. Enjoy rates as low as 9.90% APR with a Visa Platinum credit card. Apply online at bmifcu.org/Visa.
Tom Tiberi for a decade. The broadcast gods gave Bo these two. This is Bishop and Friends.
All right, final hour here on a Monday. Eddie George has had his introductory press conference up at Bowling Green, and their uniforms now are basically kind of like a Browns uniform, except it's truly inverted. So it's a brown jersey, and you know how Ohio State has the big, thick gray stripes that we like so much? Theirs are those big, thick stripes, except they're orange, is the look of it. But he's being introduced up there, man. It's good to have Eddie back in Ohio. He's such a cool dude. Anytime you've been around him, there's such a magnetic personality there. So that's awesome to have him back. And who knows how long it'll be or what springboard it'll be for him. But you've seen a lot of these guys who have done this. Obviously, Coach Prime was kind of the blueprint for it, like big-time NFL superstar who went the college route. It's worked to him. He's done a hell of a job at Colorado. You think about the job. Now, it didn't work for Ed Reed. He tried doing this at Bethune-Cookman and was like, yeah, I'm good. Eddie did a really nice job at Tennessee State, got him flipped, went 9-4 last year, and then turned that into Bowling Green. Now, does he turn Bowling Green into a big college job, or is it an NFL job? What does that look like? There were some whispers that he was interviewed for Chicago and potentially in the mix there. So what his why is will be interesting going forward.
He's got a little over a month until the portal opens on April 16th, and I would expect the Falcons to be major players in the spring transfer portal window.
You know, it's funny. We were having that conversation with DeCourcy, Reese, about, do you have the financial backing at some of these places in some of these sports? It only takes one. So is there a booster or two or three at Bowling Green who's like, yeah, I want these guys to be at the top of the MAC, so we're going to be really aggressive and then go spend. The tricky part for it is, and this was the only pushback that to what Mike was saying about the Ohio State basketball side of it, like the Buckeye Boosters paid out. They paid out. Like the return wasn't great, but Buckeye Boosters paid out for that basketball team. Like that happened. So that's the thread the needle you're trying to thread there rather is what is the you can have the money, but then you got to allocate that money correctly. That's the tricky job there. All right, let's blitz the weekend. Hit it, fellas.
Bishop and Friends present a Weekend Sports Blitz.
Sponsored by High Bank Distillery, home of the best blended whiskey in America. Grab a bottle or dine in at their 3 restaurant locations, Grandview, Gahanna, and now in Westerville. Drink local. Drink High Bank.
I believe I had that. What did you have, Bake?
Bo, real quick, since this is a High Bank sponsored segment, Ace on the YouTube chat says, please tell Uncle Bo that I finally tried the Midnight Manhattan from High Bank Distillery, and oh boy, is it good. Thank you.
It's a layup. Just buy it, put it on the shelf, and don't think about it. Come on, it's a win.
So good job out of Ace there. I believe I had, and I don't like that I had this, that Ohio State would not win those final 2 games of the regular season, and their bubble would get bigger as we head into the Big Ten tournament.
Going to be a nervy Wednesday, guys.
I didn't have a lot from the weekend, I'll be honest with you. I mean, I had the Cavs going 14 straight, or making it 14 straight by beating the Bucks, but I think like 85% of respondents to the Daily Fan Poll, sponsored by Caster Connection on Friday, said that was going to be the case. I had UA hockey, a Saturday semifinal win, 7-2 over Mentor. And then on Sunday, taking the belt to St. Ignatius, 5-2 for their first hockey state championship. Good job to the Golden Bears.
I'm going to expand on this coming up in about 15 minutes, but I believe I had that Myles Garrett wasn't going anywhere. Like, for all of the hyperbole around it, he was basically impossible to trade, even if they wanted to, and they didn't want to. So, was I surprised that this happened right before free agency? Yeah, a little, I'll be honest, a little. But I knew that he wasn't going anywhere. The way that those contract restructures have taken place up there just wasn't any way to trade him that would benefit them in any way, shape, or form under that current deal. So the fact that he's still a Cleveland Brown is not surprising at all to me, and I've said that multiple times over the last month or so. I did not have that. What did you not have, Bake?
I did not have the Seattle Seahawks going into full rebuild mode. I thought this team was still a pretty good team. A lot of weapons on offense. The one question was maybe the quarterback. They let Tyler Lockett go. Then they trade DK Metcalf. Then they trade Geno Smith out of nowhere on Friday, and he'll have a reunion with Pete Carroll in Las Vegas. What do the Seahawks do now? They're a player in all of these quarterbacks now. Jackson Smith and Jigba, now the number 1 receiver. I did not see this out of Seattle.
I didn't have the Buckeyes losing to Indiana like that. I thought you're up 10. Now, can you just finish the game with a 3-point win? I didn't have them. And it was belief. And it wasn't a lot of logic behind it because logically, this is this Ohio State team. But yeah. I believed, but for a second, you're up 10. We'll see you in Indianapolis. Would have been Thursday at noon. Would have been awesome. Was not the case.
I did not have J.C. Horn being paid the highest, the most a defensive back has ever been paid. He just did this in the last half hour. 4 years, $100 million, 70 of it guaranteed, $25 million per. He's the highest defensive back in NFL history with this contract. Guys, he's been hurt a lot. He's good when he's there, but he's been hurt a lot. And I think the lesson here is that NFL owners have a lot of money to spend. And this cap keeps going up and up and up, and they got to spend it on something. That totally resets that market for a guy who's missed a lot of football. Player who impressed this weekend, Bake, who do you got?
Adam Fantilli of your Columbus Blue Jackets. With that hat trick at Madison Square Garden, he's got 2 hat tricks now on the season at 2 of the biggest hockey venues in the world, doing one in Toronto. And then last night at Madison Square Garden, just the 5th Blue Jacket to have 2 hat tricks in the same season, the first since Cam Atkinson did it in 2018-2019. Fantilli, let me see. Well, let me get this. I want to make sure I get this right. Adam Fantilli's first player to record multiple hat tricks in a season, age 20 or younger, since Patrick Laine did it in that 18-19 season. His 20 goals now on the year also only the third Blue Jacket to score 20 goals, age 20 or younger, joining Rick Nash and Pierre-Luc Dubois.
He's everything we thought he would be.
And at the perfect time, too.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I was impressed with Matt Patricia. I thought he looked energized. He looked healthy. He's looked as healthy as he's ever looked. I think he pushed all the right buttons. I know Austin Ward said that he won the press conference. I'll second that.
Yeah.
Good job out of you, bud.
Yeah, it was really good. I'm going to go old guys here. I'm a man. I'm 40, as is well documented. You think about the play of LeBron James over the last month. You think about the play of Steph Curry over the last month. You think about the play of Alexander Ovechkin. Like, we can do more longer than we've ever have, and it's cool to see these guys still at the very top of their game, despite either already 40 or approaching it. Player who disappointed, Bake, who do you got?
This is tough for me to do, but it was Bruce Thornton. He did not have his best game when Ohio State really needed him to step up and have his best game. Just 2 of 10 from the field, 1 of 4 from 3, only 9 points. And you mentioned, Bo, they needed someone at the end of that game to hit a shot, to go make the play. And you thought it was Bruce Thornton, and it just didn't happen for the Buckeyes. As good as he's been this year, he wasn't there for him on Saturday.
Disappointed in Elon Musk. Buddy, it's legal tampering in the NFL. You can't have X go down an hour before that happens.
It was dicey this morning.
What are we going to do? On one of the larger news breaking days here, you got to have that app humming.
You got to. Disappointed with the third quarter of the Lakers-Celtics game on Saturday night. It was set up to be like a really cool second half, and the Celtics just buried them. And then on top of that, you get the injury to LeBron. It was kind of set up to have like it was kind of the throwback to my youth. Those two teams kind of going head-to-head, and I was hoping we'd get a great finish, and we didn't. So it was disappointing that we did not have a good third quarter in that game out of the Lakers. Bud Kilmer, honorary coach of the week, Bake. Who do you got?
It's Craig Hagcool. He is the head coach of Reese's Upper Arlington Golden Bear hockey team, his second season as the head coach of the UA hockey team. He gets them over the hump. They win their first state championship, just the second for a Columbus area team. Also, always cool to see in that sport when you have a public school win it, because it's been dominated by the private schools. Actually, their matchup with Mentor in the semifinals was the first public school on public school matchup in the state hockey tournament since 2013. So just a great weekend for the Golden Bears.
Yep.
Coach of the week for me is Kenny Atkinson from the Cleveland Cavaliers in a game where Max Strus is your leading scorer with 17 points. Also, your leading rebounder in that. You beat the Milwaukee Bucks 112-100 to extend a winning streak. Your third of 10 or more games. They've won now 14 straight. Is a hell of a job by the guy in his first season.
Yeah, it sure is. I'm going to go to my guy, Nick Myers. Longest tenured coach at Ohio State. They go to Notre Dame and beat them over the weekend in the last 7 seconds of the game. They're now ranked 10th in the country. They're 7-1 on the season. They got a monster game out at Denver this week, but they are humming the stadium that they built there, all the program. It's all part of his hard work and all of it, but that was a monster win for them to go win at Notre Dame on Saturday and to do so in such dramatic fashion. Very, very cool. All right, we've got a lot going on in the National Football League, including Myles Garrett getting paid bigly. How could it affect what happens down in Cincinnati with Jamar Chase? We'll get to that coming up next. Bishop and Friends, right here on The Fan.
Wake up with The Fan. Eat lunch with The Fan. Go to bed with The Fan. Dream about The Fan. Then change your sheets. Gross.
Ew, you guys are gross, but stick around in case I don't find anyone else.
The Fan.
Another reason to choose Hinderer Motor Company for your next vehicle. This is Justin Hinderer. Every vehicle comes with a lifetime powertrain warranty, award-winning service, and our exclusive Carvenience. We pick up your vehicle, service it, and return it so you save time and enjoy peace of mind. That's Carvenience. At Hinderer Motor Company, we take care of everything so you can drive worry-free. See why we're the best choice for your next new or used car by visiting HindererMotorCompany.com.
New treatments for joint pain are here. By now, you've heard about regenerative medicine. If you're wondering if you're a good candidate, answer these questions. First, does chronic pain in your knees, hips, shoulders, or other joints keep you from doing the things you enjoy? Golfing, jogging, time with the family. Does it hurt doing the things you need to do? Like getting out of bed, sleeping, working, and walking. And finally, do you want to avoid surgery and all of the pain, long recovery, and uncertainty that comes with it? If you answered yes to any of those, you need to call QC Kinetics now. Learn about exciting advancements in regenerative treatments that can give you long-lasting pain relief with no drugs, no surgery, and no downtime. Get your free consultation today. Call QC Kinetics. That's QC Kinetics. Here's the phone number.
Call now, 380-208-4544. That's 380-208-4544. QC Kinetics, 380-208-4544.
Care Heating and Cooling. Honest technicians, honest pricing. Call 1-800-COOLING.
Basketball from noon to midnight. Scotty Vegas here, and we're throwing a Vegas-style basketball party at Hollywood Casino at the ESPN Bet Sportsbook. I even went out to Vegas to scout out how to throw this party. Tough assignment. The Fan is doing 24 hours of watch parties. The opening weekend of the tournament, there'll be custom T-shirts, Pop-A-Shot, horse games. Oh, and don't miss a game with a 50-foot video wall. Reserve your spot at HollywoodColumbus.com. Must be 21 or older to enter. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
At Meijer, we work hard to bring more of the good life to your life so you can bring home more perfectly plump and flavorful produce picked for precise freshness, beautifully marbled beyond brag-worthy certified Angus beef, and more must-have money-saving M-Perks rewards. Because saving more on local favorites is good, but bringing home more of what you love in every trip, that's the good life. We do more to make life a good deal better at Meijer.
Hey there, friends. Bo Bishop here from my friends at High Bank Distillery Co., located right here in Columbus. Introducing their newest product, 614 Vodka, Ohio's house vodka. Perfect to make a drink at home or try when you're out at your favorite local restaurant. Learn more at 614vodka.com.
All your favorite and least favorite fan shows are available wherever you get your podcasts. Just type in 971 The Fan to the search bar and hit that subscribe button. It's free.
We're the land of the free and the home of the sunburnt, freckled fat guy.
Do it now.
Hello, it's John Kozik, founder and president of TurboTrack Realty. Do you want to sell your property, however, you need a little help getting through the process? Let's say you have years of belongings in the home. It needs a lot of updating, you're overwhelmed, and you may need help finding a place to go. I will help you. Visit us today at TurboTrackRealty.com or call me now for an all-cash offer and, more importantly, the help you need at 614-470-2000, 614-470-2000.
Some foot issues just can't be fixed by those expensive shoe stores or shoe inserts. A foot exam from a doctor of podiatric medicine, who is the medical expert in foot and ankle care, may give solutions after doing a complete foot examination. If you suffer from foot, heel, or ankle pain, let us help you find a member of the Ohio Foot and Ankle Medical Association so you know you are being treated by the very best. For more information or to find a member of the Ohio Foot and Ankle Medical Association near you, visit ohiofoot.org.
Fan weather.
From the Logan AC and Heat Services Weather Center.
Talk about a beauty of a day today. Sunshine, high temperatures in the mid-60s. And then heading into tomorrow, it gets even warmer. We're looking at a mostly sunny sky with a high of 70. Wednesday, it'll be a little bit cooler with a high of 65. I'm meteorologist Dylan Robichaud with your 10 TV weather impact forecast on 97.1 The Fan.
Question from a listener: do you dopes ever get tired of talking about Ohio State? No. The Buckeye Show.
Weeknights at 6.
The Fan. Pull up a stool and ask the bartender for something neat, because Uncle Bo is on the radio. This is Bishop and Friends.
One of the things I was pretty consistent on over the last couple of months, really I spent 6 weeks since Myles Garrett went to the Super Bowl and made it abundantly clear that, I mean, he flat out said, I'd like to play in Washington. Like, that happened. Like, those things happened. And he kind of treated his trade request / demand the way like an NBA player would treat free agency if they were free agents, right? Like, kind of go on a tour and like flirt with everybody and then make a decision. The problem was that his contract, because of the way that the Cleveland Browns can restructure contracts, because of the way that the Haslam Sports Group can restructure these contracts and turn it into guaranteed money so that they can get salary cap benefits, one of the byproducts of that is, as you kick that money down, those players are very difficult, almost impossible to trade. And in fact, you really can't trade them unless you take an incredible hit yourself, and it does you incredible damage to trade somebody that you've done one of these restructures with. So I've been pretty consistent that the trading of Myles Garrett was always going to be really far-fetched and almost impossible to happen. So that's just the technical side of it that always was going to be a major roadblock for me. The second part was I don't think that the Cleveland Browns want to be in the business of letting somebody like Myles Garrett go play for somebody else. So I think that's the other part of it. So I think those two things, and they've been steadfast, like we're not moving you, period. And Myles's camp, I think this will all be mended very quickly. But I do think that if you could have something back, it would be the public nature of the Super Bowl flirtation, and it would probably be the comments last week where it was leaked out that they requested a meeting with ownership and Jimmy Haslam. The one thing on that though that I think got misreported quite a bit was like as if Haslam was like saying, "Well, yeah, I'm not lowering myself to talk to you." That wasn't it at all. He just didn't want to undercut his own general manager, is what that was about. Like, if I go talk to you, that's akin to like a child knowing what the answer is from one parent and then going to the other hoping for a different result. That's kind of that scenario that played out. And so Haslam wasn't being defiant. He was just saying, look, we have a general manager who we trust in Andrew Berry, and he's the guy you need to talk to on those things, not me. And so all of that to be said, I was surprised that this happened Sunday, kind of out of the blue, that on Sunday you get a new contract that averages $40 million a year, including $123.5 in guaranteed money. He's the highest paid non-quarterback in NFL history. It's also a no trade clause that is in there for Myles Garrett as well. So now he gets a little bit of power back. This is the thing that's pretty wild. They lapped the field on highest paid non-quarterback position player. So there's a couple of things here. Before we get into that, though, because I think that'll have an impact on some of the other things that we see happening, certainly with Jamar Chase coming up next. Where were you guys on the idea of him ever being traded?
8 out of 10.
You thought he would be?
I was confident that he was serious about winning being the most important thing. I think we had talked last week that, yeah, money's always going to be a factor.
Yeah.
But I seriously believed him when he said he was interested in competing for a Super Bowl, which the Browns for the next couple of years don't seem to be in that spot. Now, with him, I think you can have different conversations about the competitiveness of this franchise. But yeah, I truly believe that they could have thrown whatever kind of monetary compensation in front of him, and he's like, no, I am good with another team, like playing for them again. But $1 Million Man said it best. Everybody's got a price.
Yeah.
I thought for sure he was gone because I didn't think having a grumpy Myles Garrett in Cleveland was going to help anyone. And I know all of the logistical things behind the scenes that you talked about there, Bo, with it was almost an untradeable contract and this and that. But he can never say that winning is the most important thing to him now because he could have not signed this contract and not played.
No, yeah, he could have dug in. And I think a lot of like really smart people who report on the National Football League really had this wrong. I mean, they really had it wrong. There was reporting, I think it was Aditi Kikabala, CBS last week, had a tweet about Myles doesn't need this. He could just go do anime.
Yeah, that was strange.
Geez, that's to go from there to let's sign and kumbaya in 2 days. So there were some big swings in terms of what was actually happening behind the scenes and then the way that this story was reported.
I have to give Jimmy Haslam credit because last week with that reporting that Garrett had asked to specifically meet with the Browns owner, the reporting that I saw was that the reporting that I trust I saw was that Haslam said, I'll meet with you, but Andrew's also going to be in on this. He's not neutering his general manager. And I think that was the exact right thing for Jimmy Haslam to do because he has supported, at least explicitly, he supported this front office and this coaching staff every step of the way since hiring them and giving them their, I think, deserved extensions. So from a front office standpoint, like he's done everything that you want to look to and say, there's an owner that trusts his football guys and doesn't meddle. Because that would have been meddlesome had he just sat down with Myles. Because the Falcons, Kirk Cousins asked and got a meeting with the owner. It's like, I don't think that's the best way to do it if you're trying to say, we're all in this boat together.
No, I think what the Haslams have proven with their ownership is they hire people they trust and then they let them do their job. And they're maybe there was a time where it was more impetuous. I think they're past that now. I think they like who they hired. They like the direction that it's all going. Obviously, the Watson thing didn't work, but much of the other stuff has. And so can this be a quick flip? Their plan at quarterback will be a fascinating one. Obviously, sitting at 2, they're going to be able to draft one of the 2 quarterbacks who are at the top of this draft. Who knows which one? We've got no indication that maybe they like one more than the other. They wouldn't do that publicly anyway. But whichever one they like more, if they like them that much more, they could just go to one if Tennessee does indeed put that pick up for auction. But if it doesn't, you can stay at 2 and get the other one and roll with that. They will also bring in a veteran. I think that's abundantly clear. I wouldn't be surprised if they reach back out to Joe Flacco. That would not surprise me if Joe Flacco was reached back out to. There was an incredible relationship between him and Kevin Stefanski, and to me, that would seem to make a lot of sense. The one thing that we know that's abundantly clear is that this quarterback market is really going to heat up over the next, because some guys who, and we'll get into the field stuff in the next segment, but like a guy who was benched is now like being coveted and has some sort of power from a negotiating standpoint is a pretty wild thing to wrap your head around. In terms of the Miles contract, though, after I wrapped my head around it, the next thing I thought of is, what does this mean for the Bengals and Jamar Chase? He wants to be the highest paid non-quarterback in football. The Browns.
Tobin said as much.
Yeah. Previous to that was Max Crosby. Wasn't he at 36? Didn't he just sign last week for 36?
Yeah, it was 35, 36, something like that.
And like 90 guaranteed. This laps the field. So this goes to 123 guaranteed. This goes to 40 per year. So if you're Jamar Chase and you're Duke Tobin, I mean, that's a difference of $4 million and upwards of 30 on the guarantee. That changes the dynamic for Cincinnati as well, bigly.
Every day the Bengals wait, the price keeps going up and up and up. They could have had this done last year for probably, 30, 32?
Yeah, they
33 million.
All he wanted at that time was to be more than Justin Jefferson.
Oh, my goodness.
And the Jefferson deal, I think, was 32 per.
Yeah, so this price has gone up. Since if they would have done this last offseason, the price has now gone up probably about $10 million.
Well, there was a different pie last year. And now that this year's got a little bit more, a little bit larger of a pie. But, yeah, now they're probably going to have to give a bigger slice to Jamar Chase, which means less pie for T, which means 0 pie for Trey Hendrickson.
So Jefferson was 35 and 110 guaranteed, but 35 per. So they could have had this at 36 for Jamar Chase, and now it's going to have to be 41 for Jamar Chase. I mean, this changes Dallas's dynamics with Micah Parsons as well. So this will put a ton of pressure on some other teams around the league. And the Cincinnati, they did get Gesicki done over the weekend, so that was one of the things that was out there. We know that Trey Hendrickson has been allowed to seek a trade and has said his goodbyes, so they're not going to keep all of them. They did keep Gesicki. They got Higgins, who's been tagged. Chase has got to be their primary focus right now. All the while, free agency, legal tampering starts in 30 minutes. Tampering's been going nuts all morning long. We have these deals that are being reported left and right throughout the National Football League today already. So there's a lot of layers to this thing. One of the things that Miles said via his representation, Nicole Lynn of Clutch Sports, was getting this deal done now allows me to help in free agency with the Browns. So now he becomes an advocate for the Browns in free agency as well. In other words, come join me here. They've got some things that they've got to sort out. Quarterback is chief among them, and that's something that we've seen throughout the league.
Isn't that insane, just the switch there that happens?
48 hours.
I want out. I don't want to play for you anymore. There's nothing that can change that. Now I'm going to bring guys in to play with me.
Yeah. Yep. All that in 48 hours.
It will help to the points that have been made throughout the history of this program that the billionaire ownership, that's someone you can trust. Like, they'll pay you.
It's never not going to be. If it's about the money, they're going to get it done.
Free agents like that,
yeah.
I think.
Yeah, if it's about the money, the Haslams do not blink. They get those things done in a very, very big way. And so now Miles can follow the Joe Thomas route, and he can play his whole career in Cleveland, and he can do what Andrew Berry said all along, which was see him going from Cleveland to Canton. Now that's where they're at.
It's never what it was.
No, the NFL was nuts and has been nuts this morning. It was nuts yesterday We had another record-breaking deal for a quarterback. We have the Steelers now in a very interesting position for what they could do in the next 12 hours or so. We'll get you updated on all of that around the NFL coming up next. Bishop and Friends right here on The Fan.
1-877 Cars for Kids. KARS Cars for Kids. 1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
Donate today at carsforkids.org. That's cars with a K. Your car can be picked up as soon as the next day. Receive a tax deduction and vacation voucher.
1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
Now accepting donations of land, homes, buildings, or any kind of real estate.
Hey, Ohio, Prime Sports has arrived, the only book where you can lay 108 instead of 110 on all your favorite teams. Football, baseball, basketball, and hockey. Why would you risk more to win the same amount at another sports book? Download the Prime Sports Ohio app or visit our website, primesportsbook.com. Get a welcome bonus to match your initial deposit up to $400 in bonus bets. And be a member of the Prime Sports family.
Terms and conditions apply. Visit website for details. Must be 21 and present in Ohio. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Buying a home used to feel like a complete headache. Listings here, pre-approval there, financing somewhere else. Now, Rocket is giving every home one address. Rocket.com. A single seamless homeownership platform to help you find, buy, sell, finance, and refinance your home. Everything you need, all under one roof. Visit Rocket.com, the new home for all things home ownership. Rocket, own the dream.
Good morning, beat freaks. Who's ready to move? Let's start this day right.
Tasha's morning dance parties are meeting rave reviews.
Lose your phones and find your groove.
They need an ops manager to help their community dance the morning away.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. When you sponsor a job on Indeed, it's easier for talented candidates to find it, which makes it easier for you to hire them. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
Bishop and Friends is sponsored by Diamond Seller, your true jeweler for over 75 years. The Fan, Ohio sports destination.
Our top men are working on everything except this show.
We have top men working on it right now. Who? Top men.
You're listening to Bishop and Friends.
ESPN's Mike Greenberg is an icon in this business. Mike and Mike, for all those years, just an absolute home run. He was on... he left that to go do the Get Up show, right? And so it was on this morning. As I've said before, like the boys watch Sports Center, like that's part of their routine now. They're basically me when I was in high school, where like they will eat breakfast and watch Sports Center to start their day, and it always ends with Top Place, and then it's still on when they leave to go up and get in the shower or whatever. And so I hear it, and I heard Mike Greenberg, and the way that he sold NFL free agency was incredible. I mean, it was Don Draper selling Mercedes-Benz, and he's like, "We've got big news out of Pittsburgh. Let's go to Shefty right now. What is happening behind the steel curtain?" And then Schefter goes, "Well, Greeny, that's exactly right." And then he went into a story about Justin Fields. And I thought, well, hold on a second. Like, if their plan is we're going to bring back the guy who we benched last year and we've got to have him back, that's the plan? Like, they liked Justin Fields so much last year that they benched him. Even though he played probably the best he's ever played, even though he had a winning record. Weren't they 4-1 in his starts, or 3-1 at least in his starts last year?
They were 4-2 in 6 starts with Justin.
Yeah, and so they benched him for Russ, and Russ was good right away, but then he tapered off, and they never went back to Fields. And so now Justin, with 30 minutes before legal tampering, kind of like holds the cards. Now, there's trying to get some Rodgers momentum there underneath of it, and I think, to me, that seems like the one that makes some sense. Fields wants to hear what the Jets can offer. He can't do that until noon. Meantime, he's in Dubai, as we follow from his Instagram. Justin's in Dubai. So that's where he's at on all of this. So obviously his representation's trying to sort it all out. But when I saw the Steelers acquire DK Metcalf and then agreed to pay him 5 years, $150 for a second-round pick to Seattle, I just thought, well, they've got to be bringing somebody in there to sling it. Now, Justin with Metcalf and with Pickens, those are receivers that would fit with what he does well, which is throw the ball down the field They're guys who will redirect, and he can hit. If the initial read isn't there, he can redirect and he can hit them in space, and they can be big chunk play type of guys. DK Metcalf, I think, ran more deep routes than anybody in the NFL last year. So there's some sense that is made there. But when I saw that deal, I just thought they must be thinking they're getting Rodgers. That's the only thing I could think of.
Yeah, that was where my head went to, because it doesn't strike me that. I mean, Fields, plausible that Fields could work with those two, but I just don't see it right now. And it feels like I don't know, someone said, I was seeing like Darnold could be the option for Pittsburgh. Like, I don't see it there.
I guess they're kicking the tires on Darnold. They've offered Fields, and then Rodgers jumped into the mix. The question is the market as big for Darnold as what we all thought? Because the spots where he could land now only feels to me like Seattle, and as Bake mentioned off the top of this hour, a definite rebuild in Seattle. I think Seattle got to the point kind of where the Browns got with Baker, where it was like, okay, we can win a little with him, but we can't track it all the way down with him. So he's in his 30s. Let's punt off of this. Let's redirect, get some assets back, and build this. I mean, it's year 2 for the coaching staff up there is all. So there's a lot of patience in terms of that. They've won a lot over the last 15 years. So the fan base is going to be cool with it to build it once right. But that pivot by Seattle now, so where does Darnold land? He's got an offer. We know he's going to have an offer in Minnesota, but they're not breaking the bank for him because they still love J.J. McCarthy. So he's got Seattle, Pittsburgh, and a return to Minnesota kind of on the plate for him.
Could the New York Giants jump into that Darnold bidding?
You never see that. It seems like the Giants are waiting on Rodgers, and if they can't get Rodgers, maybe they just pivot to try to trade at the top of the draft and go to 1 and from Tennessee. They're sitting there at 3. It wouldn't take much to go from 3 to 1.
We've heard a lot of smoke about Justin Fields and the New York Jets. There's been stuff out there. I wonder if Justin kind of knows maybe that's a landing spot for him, and that's why this Pittsburgh thing is maybe all falling apart as Justin thinks, hey, I can get more money up here. I'll definitely be the guy. They're not going to pivot off of me, and I wonder if that's something that he's thinking right now. This Seattle thing has just thrown a whole wrench in all of the quarterback plans, I believe.
Yeah, and I don't think anybody thought that they'd be trading Geno Smith. And then Metcalf kind of came off it. They released Lockett. So, yeah, they're resetting.
And, what do the Raiders do? Do they think
want
Geno? But do they think he's long-term?
The Raiders are in a spot where they've got Brady. They've got this private equity group that's bought in under Mark Davis, and they're sick and tired of seeing other teams have home games at their stadium. And so does Geno Smith allow for you to contend with Mahomes and Herbert? No, but you're also not going to go 4-13. And you should be exciting, and he'll throw the ball down the field, and they need to try to build a fan base back a little bit because there's not a great one there. That Raiders fan base is all over the West Coast. I mean, it's Los Angeles, it's Oakland, it's all of it. But it has to be built in Las Vegas. So that's what I think their thinking is we need somebody. It's interesting because it depends on your perception. You think about where the Bengals were with Andy Dalton for all that time, or where the Seahawks were with Geno Smith all that time, where the Browns kind of were with Bake. There's a spot where it's like, man, this is fun to kind of go 10-7. It's kind of fun to go 9-8 and play meaningful games in December. But the reality is there's also like a concrete ceiling on it. The Bengals were never going to win a Super Bowl with Andy Dalton. The Browns were never going to win a Super Bowl with Baker Mayfield. The Seahawks were never going to win a Super Bowl with Geno Smith. Now, when you jettison those guys, you better hit, otherwise it gets real negative real quick. But I think what Seattle is saying is like, okay, there's a ceiling on this. We've got to go in another direction and have a different build here. So is that Darnold? Who knows? But you're waiting on that domino. The one name we've not heard linked anywhere is Russell Wilson. Nothing.
I mean, there was a little bit with the Raiders.
That's it.
That was it.
Yeah. Now, there was reporting that the Steelers had offers to him and Fields out there both. And it was like, well, which one wants to come back first? We'll take him. And I do wonder, like Metcalf had success with Wilson, but Russ isn't what he used to be. So maybe he could still return to Pittsburgh if the Rodgers. The thing that would be, if I'm a Steelers fan, what would be most intriguing to me would be Rodgers. Rodgers for 1 year. Let's see how it goes. That would be the most intriguing to me.
I think then you'd want to see if you could set up Justin Fields for future success, but the guy went 4-2 as a starter and you benched him and you never put him back out there. Like, I almost think as we're thinking through this, like, Fields should just go to Seattle and try to see what they can work with there. If an offer's on the table for him. Because it ain't Pittsburgh.
It's a big moment in his career, guys, for Justin.
This is it, right?
It's probably his last chance to be a starter. You know, I mean, he was drafted to be that in Chicago. He signed with Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh acquired him. He started to start the year, and then they brought in Russ over top of him. I mean, the most stable of the franchises that are in discussion with him is obviously Pittsburgh. Like, to me, if you think about how can I have a prolific career as an NFL quarterback, I would not prolific, but how can I stay being a starter? How can I be a starter in this league consistently? If Pittsburgh believes in you and builds offense around you, that to me gives him the best chance for success. The only other thing you think about, and I don't know who the offensive coordinator, you bring up Seattle, that did get me thinking, because McDonald was with the Ravens when they built several different offenses around Lamar. And certainly coming out of Ohio State, Justin would have been, he's not the athlete Lamar is in terms of his running ability, but in terms of his throwing ability, very similar to Lamar coming out of Louisville. They built a bunch of different offenses that worked for Lamar, and then Lamar got better every year to the point last year he had maybe the best single season anybody's ever had at the quarterback position statistically. So you'd have to see if that coordinator fit in Seattle was one that would work. But if I'm him, I would probably go to Pittsburgh and play in that structure.
Clint Kubiak is the new offensive coordinator.
So that's
for
wide
the
zone.
Seahawks.
That's Stefanski, Shanahan, Kubiak, wide zone, run ball, play off of it, one read, throw to read.
And with that, Bo, if you remember, last season, before the season started, they traded with the Commanders for Sam Howell. Is there a world where Sam Howell is the Seahawks starting quarterback this year? Because he put up some numbers with Washington. He threw a lot of interceptions, but he did have a little bit of success.
Yes. Yeah, I think that's a play. I certainly think it is. I think it's pretty noteworthy that Josh Allen reset the quarterback market over the weekend. So Josh Allen and the Bills, a 6-year extension, $330, $250 guaranteed. That wasn't Deshaun's $230?
Yeah.
So that goes $20 million over the Watson guarantees. So I don't know that this was anything other than we just want to do right by our guy. There was a lot of talk about the last extension that he signed that he didn't get maybe true market value, and they just wanted to do right by him. But they do in a very, very big way. That was surprising to me that they reset it in that way, because there was no talk about a Josh Allen contract extension being in the mix. And so that's where you're at in the NFL. I do think one thing that is kind of sneaky, and it speaks to how quickly these NFL teams can pivot. If you go back right around the combine, so about 10 days ago, all of the talk was Matthew Stafford's going to be a free agent. He can seek a place to play somewhere other than the Rams. By the end of that week, Matthew Stafford is the quarterback of the Rams, and over the weekend they signed Devontae Adams, 2 years, $46. So now they have Adams and Nakua with Stafford in that offense. Adams, I think at this point in his career, is going to be an upgrade over Cooper Kupp. But if Stafford would have found a landing spot, if he'd land to the Giants, then the Rams don't do any of these things. Then they take another plan entirely. But because they convinced him to stay, now they're going for it again. That's how quickly, I swear, like all these NFL teams, they have two parallel paths. If this happens, we do this. If this happens, we do this. And the Rams are probably the best example of it. Now, you look at them and you say, well, they should win the NFC West again. There's no reason not to. They're kind of all in for it. But it's going to be fun. Roth and I is going to have you covered on that, obviously, throughout the afternoon. Man and Bone to follow that in terms of everything busy on the NFL free agency front. 3 things on a Monday. Up next, Bishop and Friends right here on The Fan.
If you miss a live show, you can catch the podcast. If you miss the podcast, our hosts have volunteered to have dinner with you.
Ma, the meatloaf!
The Fan.
Hair Volume is the best-selling hair tablet in the world and one of many award-winning natural hair products from New Nordic.
Hey there, friends. Bo Bishop here. Who's cutting down the nets this year? Get in on all the tournament action at ESPN Bet Sportsbook. Go from tracking the latest upsets to placing bets in just a few taps. All tournament long, new customers can get $100 in bonus bets when you make your first $10 wager. Download the ESPN Bet Sportsbook app. Sign up with the promo code Radio100 to get started today. Must be 21 or older. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Terms and conditions apply. See app for details.
Save more green this St. Patrick's Day at Meijer. Enjoy Meijer corned beef, just $3.99 a pound. Red potatoes are $3.99 for a 5-pound bag. Enjoy an ice-cold Coca-Cola or Pepsi product. 12 packs are now on sale. Buy 2, get 1 free. Plus deposit where applicable. And Loft House decorated sugar cookies are only $3.99. We're working hard to bring more goodness to your St. Patrick's Day celebration at Meijer. Exclusions apply. See all deals in store or in the Meijer app.
Hey, it's Bobby Carpenter, and spring's going to be here before you know it. I know it feels cold now, but before too long, you're going to be outside running around, jogging, wanting to do golf, explore time with your family, get outside and do the things you love. Just be active. And listen, a lot of my friends, they're asking me about QC Kinetics joint treatments. They want to know if they should consider it for their joint pain. And if you're wondering, maybe you could be a good candidate, let's see if the answer is yes to any of these questions. Quality of life impacted by chronic pain, knees, hips, back, shoulders, other things. Trouble sleeping, walking, day-to-day movement? Check. Next, avoiding surgery, the pain, the downtime? Check. Most importantly, do you miss doing the things I talked about when the spring and summer are here? Check. Don't wait. If you answered yes to one or any of those, you'd be a great candidate. You can go in there, go to QC Kinetics, ask for their free consultation, find out what it's all about, learn about the latest advances in regenerative medicine. They've got locations in Dublin and Gehenna, or you can go to qckinetics.com/Columbus, or better yet, call 380-208-4544.
Make your money go further with on-the-spot savings at Rent-A-Center. Right now, get top furniture and appliance brands starting as low as $19.99 per week in rent without using credit. Only at Rent-A-Center. Rental purchase agreement. Pricing valid February 9th, 2025 to April 5th, 2025 on new merchandise at participating locations. You will not own merchandise until the total amount necessary to acquire ownership is paid in full or you exercise your early purchase option. Ownership is optional. See store for details.
Common Man here for Universal Windows Direct. You know what's better than new windows? A new window from Universal Windows Direct that's on sale. It's the tax time sale. You save big while making your home comfortable and energy efficient. You buy 2 windows, you get 2 free. Plus, you pay no interest till 2030. Plus, you get an extra $500 off your home improvement project in March only. Schedule your free home estimate today, 614-502-5220, universalwindowsdirect.com. Like me, you'll be saying, I love my windows.
It's the most wonderful time of the year. It's time to sign up for the Fan at 10 TV Bracket Challenge.
Sponsored by Mountain Dew, Ohio Bottled, Buckeye Bold.
The most accurate bracket takes home 1,000 smackers. Reserve your spot now and compete against your favorite Fan and 10 TV personalities. And compete against the ones you hate, too. Head to 971thefan.com for all the fun. Yay! March is fun. The Fan, Ohio sports destination.
When you're a AAA member, we do the hard stuff for you. So picture this. You're taking a road trip through the mountains at night, and you run out of gas. Do you, A, call AAA, or B, walk 29 miles to the nearest gas station in the pouring rain?
A?
How about this? You need auto insurance. You could A, pick AAA to find the best coverage for you, or B, spend so much time researching insurance jargon that you might as well have gotten a law degree.
Yeah, I'm going with A.
Right. Okay, you're booking a vacation. You can A, have AAA plan it for you, or B, stress so hard about layovers and getting to your cruise that you need a vacation from booking your vacation.
That's easy. A, AAA.
On the plus side, get more with AAA. Go to AAA.com/plus side.
The Fan Guest Hotline is sponsored by Right Way Heating and Cooling and Bryant. Doing whatever it takes to keep you and your home comfortable. The Fan.
If you love a good pie analogy,
think of the cap as a pie. And once you take out one piece, there's less left for the next guy.
then this is the radio show for you. You're listening to Bishop and Friends.
Man, I don't know how the folks in Cincinnati are going to spin this being anything. I just am so dubious think they're going to get all this done. Obviously, they're not. They're not getting the Hendrickson deal done. He's already been able to go look for other spots out there. They did get Gesicki done, but now this Chase deal is going to have to be a record breaker, and then that will inhibit what they can do with T. Higgins, I would think. I mean, this has not been a good week for the Cincinnati Bengals and their offseason plans at all. So, like, when you have Mike there when we talk about the pie, that's what he's talking about, is that piece of pie. Those pieces are being divvied out. And the question is, how much of Mike Brown's pie is he willing to share? And we decided that when he eats pie, it's a meat pie, right?
Yeah, he's not a sweets guy.
Feels like a meat pie. I could see him maybe going old school, like a pecan pie, something like that. I could see that too. Maybe a traditional apple. I could see that. All right, what do we have on the poll today?
So the Daily Fan poll is sponsored by Caster Connection, and since Elon's app X is still down, or down again, probably
intermittent.
Twice this morning, I don't have the results from Twitter, which is where most of our respondents live, but you can get the fan poll at 971thefan.com, and it asks, which NFL star had the best weekend? Myles Garrett, DK Metcalf, Josh Allen, Devontae Adams. 53% of respondents at 971thefan.com say Josh Allen, compared to 46% for Myles Garrett. And like Devontae and DK had great weekends, but it was Josh.
I think Devontae Adams had a pretty good one too. Obviously, that 46 isn't going to be all guaranteed, but the idea that he plays in that system opposite Nakua with Stafford in a dome, there's a lot to like about that for Devontae Adams versus kind of having to finish out with the Raiders, and then the New York experiment did not go well there. All right, time for three things on a Monday. Hit it, guys.
1, 2, 1, 2, 3 things.
All right, number one for me, I've got, in the last round of repairs they did on the street in our development on the blacktop, they do that with the tar. They you see like the lines that are there
like
with
stamp
the tar.
It down with those rods.
And then they have they've got like tar where it cracks. They put the tar in the cracks. I'm not kidding you. There's a giant phallic symbol right in front of my driveway. I mean, I'll send you guys a picture of it. It's unmistakably that. My neighbors made me aware of it. I'd never even noticed it, but it's 100% that. And it had to be on purpose. Had to. There's no way you could stumble. I'll send you a picture and you can judge for yourself. Then you can decide. You guys will help me decide if it's something we can post on the social, provided the social ever gets back up. Not from the show, it'll be from the personal page. But man,
so the crack isn't
dead ringer.
The crack isn't phallic shaped, but the fix.
I can't tell if the crack was in phallic shape or not, but the fix absolutely is. Like bigly.
So this from Bowling Green's new head football coach, Eddie George, who was asked about how he's going to build the Falcons roster in 2025. Quote, I did not build Tennessee State through the transfer portal or flipping a roster over NIL. I did it through development, end quote. And to that I say, that's a good thing to say for your opening press conference. But realistically, there's a lot of talent in Ohio that goes elsewhere. A lot of 4-star guys that could use a second chance because the place they chose out of high school, for whatever reason, didn't work out. And that's how I think Eddie George can get in there year one and have some success, is by flipping Ohio guys to come back to the Buckeye State and see if they can't do a Falcon program that includes non-conference games against Cincinnati and Liberty and Louisville, and then maybe compete for a MAC championship. But I think that's the best way to do it in year one.
That's 100% how he should do it, Reese. Absolutely.
Guys, my first thing, I had a great time calling the state hockey tournament this weekend, all 3 games there at Nationwide, and then also a fun time Friday night calling a girls high school basketball semifinal. Congratulations to Rootstown for moving on to the state championship next week. But I realized calling 4 games without a color person, that's a lot.
It's a lot of talking,
4
brother.
and 3.
Wow.
That's a lot. I have a newfound respect for Bob McGilligan, who does every game like that for the Blue Jackets.
Yeah, that's a lot. That certainly is a lot of talking. Number 2 for me, NBC had his first. He's claiming it's not official, but like him and a girl went to a movie. That's a date. Like he's claiming they're just talking and it's not an official.
They didn't talk during the movie.
So I guess an old guy, they were talking during the previews, and an older guy like went and told the theater about it, and like, you can't talk during previews. Is that real?
No.
You can't talk during previews?
No,
I think
you
you
can
can
talk
talk
during
during
previews.
previews, right? I think once we go dark, then that's it. I did show him my move that I used on my first date with my first girl. He did not use it. He claimed that the chairs were too big for him to do the reach around. Movie theater chairs have gotten so big that he couldn't do the reach around to put his arm around.
You mean like the arm over the shoulder?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, he couldn't get it there.
Phrasing,
Couldn't reach.
Second thing for
It's
me.
all semantics, boys. You just got to get the phrasing. It's all
Second
there.
thing for me, this from Ben Albright, who covers the NFL, primarily with the Denver Broncos related, but does look like Denver is going to be the opponent for the Colts in that Berlin game in 2025.
Guys, maybe the greatest moment ever on ESPN Plus on Saturday during the middle of an East Carolina, Coastal Carolina baseball game. The camera pans to two nice-looking female girls standing in the outfield. And why they have the camera on there, the blonde girl turns her hips, sticks her phone out, and takes a picture of her butt.
That's right.
I don't know what guy or girl received that picture, but they had a very nice Saturday, I'm sure.
My hunch is it was on Instagram.
Could be.
My get, knowing how these kids operate these days. That music means the Jake Diebler Show is up next. Let's get a win on Wednesday, Coach. You have that to look forward to, which is nice. Rothman and Ice to follow. We are back tomorrow. Bishop and Friends right here on The Fan.
We're your radio home for the Buckeyes, Browns, and all the NFL games you can handle. We may have a bit of a football problem. Oh, yeah. The Fan, Ohio sports destination.
If you're like most Americans, you've racked up tens of thousands in credit card debt. You're stuck with 20% interest fees, and even the monthly payments, well, they're hard to make. It's insane. Hey, it's Bobby Carpenter. The good news is that there is a way out. AFLcash.com. That's AFLcash.com. Advantage First Lending. They specialize in fast, easy access to the equity in your home. Most homeowners have hundreds of thousands of dollars in their home equity. That's your money. AFLcash.com can get it out for you with zero junk fees and zero hassle. You can pay off all those credit cards in just a matter of days. Pay off your car loans too. Cut your monthly expenses by $800 or even $900. I'm telling you, the relief you need, well, it's right there at your fingertips. AFLcash.com or call 844-394-CASH. That's 844-394-CASH. Break out of the credit card debt prison with AFLcash.com.
Equal Housing Lender, NMLS 1209177. Subject to lender approval. NMLSConsumerAccess.org.
Buying a home used to feel like a complete headache. Listings here, pre-approval there, financing somewhere else. Now, Rocket is giving every home one address. Rocket.com. A single seamless homeownership platform to help you find, buy, sell, finance, and refinance your home. Everything you need, all under one roof. Visit Rocket.com, the new home for all things home ownership. Rocket. Own the dream.
Good morning, beat freaks. Who's ready to move? Let's start this day right.
Tasha's morning dance parties are meeting rave reviews.
Lose your phones and find your groove.
They need an ops manager to help their community dance the morning away.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. When you sponsor a job on Indeed, it's easier for talented candidates to find it, which makes it easier for you to hire them. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
Basketball from noon to midnight. Scotty Vegas here, and we're throwing a Vegas-style basketball party at Hollywood Casino at the ESPN Bet Sportsbook. I even went out to Vegas to scout out how to throw this party. Tough assignment. The Fan is doing 24 hours of watch parties. The opening weekend of the tournament, there'll be custom T-shirts, Pop-A-Shot, horse games. Oh, and don't miss a game with a 50-foot video wall. Reserve your spot at HollywoodColumbus.com. Must be 21 or older to enter. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Welcome to Tire Discounters. Thanks. I gotta warn you, I drive a hard bargain. Okay. So let's hear your first offer. Well, how about? Yeah. With any 4-tire purchase, we'll give you a free alignment. Man, I'm good. All right, let's do it before you change your mind. And we'll also give you a free oil change. Ha! I can't believe I talked you into this deal. Sometimes I amaze even myself.
Don't tell accounting. But with any 4-tire purchase at Tire Discounters, you get a free alignment and a free full synthetic oil change. See store for details.
It's March, and you know what that means. Bracket season. You've crunched the numbers, picked your favorites, and maybe even taken a big gamble on that Cinderella team. But when it comes to your home, gambling is not an option. Spring storms are rolling in, bringing strong winds, heavy rain, and unpredictable weather. The question is your roof ready? At Newman Roofing, we don't leave anything up to chance. Whether you need a new roof, gutter replacement, or updated siding, our expert team is here to educate you, guide you, and give you the best options to fit your home's needs. No high-pressure sales, no surprises, just top-quality work from a team you can trust. That's why homeowners choose Newman Roofing, the #1 overall seed here in Columbus, because we deliver an unbeatable customer experience every single time. So, don't wait until the damage is done. Beat the storm before it ruins your big dance. Call 614-NEW-ROOF. That's 614-NEW-ROOF, or visit online at newmanroofing.com to schedule your spot this spring. Don't just get a new roof, get a Newman roof.
Thanks for calling Discover. This is Nia.
Hi, Nia. It's Jennifer. Did you know that Discover automatically doubles all the cash back you've earned at the end of your first year?
Yeah, I work here.
Okay. I was just double checking. Get it?
Because Discover automatically doubles all the cash back you've earned at the end of your first year?
Oh, you get me, Nia.
You could say that I double get you.
I guess we've taken it too far.
You earn, we match. Discover Cashback Match. See terms at discover.com/credit card.
I had the worst dream last night. You were in a car crash, and the kids and I were on our own. We had to move out of the house because I couldn't afford it anymore.
That's awful, hon.
My brother got life insurance from Ethos, and it only took 10 minutes. And he got $2 million in coverage for around $2 a day. It's all online. No medical exam. He just answered a few health questions right from his house.
Ethos, here we come.
Visit ethos.com/game. That's ethos.com/game.
Sample rate is